Welcome to Boxing Fans Talk TV. I'm your host, TDT. You can refer to me as Miss T. And y'all saw the thumbnail. Um, so we going to get into that. Other things. This is Free Fridays. That's Free Fridays. My bad, got turned away from the mic. Um, Free Fridays, where we're going to allow guests of the show, probably ATL, Boxing Unanimous, Destiny Black, come up with topics. It's open to the panel. It's open to the people in the chat. And you guys can come in and talk about current topics of the day. And like always, we're gonna give you some boxing news. But y'all know the drill. But first, let's turn to. Welcome back to Boxing Fans Talk TV. I'm your host, TDT, and you can refer to me as Miss T. As I said at the top of my hour, I come on Monday through Friday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's Monday through Friday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know that the thumbnail sometimes have it as 11:30 p.m. I don't know why. I come on at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. At the top of my hour, you know the drill. We always do the water check, water check, water check. I'm at my usual 10 bottles, 10 8-ounce bottles. Spring water, that's my water choice. I don't do the purified and the other types of water. I prefer spring water, but to each his own. I would say don't pick distilled water. That ain't for you. You know what I'm saying? But whether you do purified or other types of waters that they have, you can pick your poison, whatever. Um, we always say that here at Boxing Fans Talk TV, we advocate for everyone to drink at least 100 ounces of water per day. Um, that's good. That's a good little number right there. I think if you're an adult, you can drink 128 ounces, which is a gallon of water per day. It's the summer still in this country, and it's hot, very hot. So we got to stay hydrated. If you're not a big water drinker, then you should probably try to drink at least 2 times a day. If you just can't bring yourself to drink a lot of water, a lot of people there's people out there like that. But first thing in the morning, before your toes hit the ground, think of your body as an engine, and the water is the lube. You need some water, so at least eight ounces of water right there. Keep it on your nightstand, just so you don't forget. And this is before you start your morning routine, anything, going to the bathroom, getting ready for the day, whatever. Do that first. and it's gonna help flush things out and help you excrete whatever you got to excrete. The second time during the day is at night while you're laying down, about to lay down for your final rest for the night, not just looking at TV or doing something else. Drink you 8 ounce cup of water or something. The American Heart Association agrees that it's good for your heart to drink some water, right before you go to sleep. Not like you drink the water, then the next minute you sleep. I'm just saying, like, it's time to lay it down. Just go on and drink you some water, and within 30 minutes or so you're gonna be falling asleep, and it's good for your heart. It's a lot of reads going on at night: revamping, recharging, rebooting. This is what your system, i.e. your body, is doing at night. When you sleeping, you're healing, you're doing a whole lot of stuff. You're cleaning out toxins, getting it ready to be excrete first thing in the morning. um Also, a fun fact: the average person burns between 900 to 1,000 calories at night in a deep sleep, not in a cat nap. Cat naps don't do this. This is deep sleep talking. Um, so you want to drink your water for that reason. And like I said, those two times you must drink water. If you're a tea drinker, coffee drinker, or whatever, at least them two times drink your water. And if you want to build the tolerance just every day or every couple of days or maybe once a week, by the end of the year, you will be up there drinking a lot of water and you're going to prefer water. You're going to notice that sometimes you want a soda. I'm still like that. Every now and then I want a soda, and I don't know why, but I just want one. And I'd be like, yeah, let me get this 20-ounce bottle of soda or whatever it is. And I wind up taking a couple of sips and I'm done. The soda get hot. Currently now it would take me, let me see, a bottle that's like 20-ounce bottle of soda, like Coke or something, or 16-ounce bottle. It would literally take me a week to drink it. I know people would say that's BST, but that is the truth. I drink so much water per day, it would take me a week to drink a 20-ounce bottle of water that people can drink in 5 minutes. I can't do it. I can't do it. That sip or that couple of sips suffice. It suffices me, if that's a word, suffices. But it does suffice for that taste that I was looking for. And I found out accidentally in life, because I got some friends, who are cancer survivors, and I belong to some groups over the course of my life to different, just talking with people who are cancer survivors. And one thing that I found out, not looking, that we all had in common, we go through these bouts of when we're like heaving or about to throw up, but you don't throw up nothing, like you're making that sound, and it's tiresome and it hurts, and it's the weirdest thing. I actually went to the ER one time, like over 10 years ago, probably like 15 years ago. I actually went to the ER because I kept heaving and it was hurting. It was hurting my stomach, my throat, everything. And I didn't know why I was doing it. And the doctors told me, drink a Coke or something. And I did, and I felt better. And I was like, wow, this was like over 15 years ago, you guys. And I was like, wow. So I kept Sprite because I didn't like Coke. I didn't like dark sodas or whatever. I like Sprite. I don't like Mountain Dew because it makes me jittery or whatever. So I kept a Sprite near, in the fridge at all times. And every now and then I get this feeling. I'll be like, okay, let me drink some Sprite. And I'll drink it. And that feeling goes away. And then imagine my surprise when I'm sharing this with the group, or I'm sharing this with friends who had cancer just like me, or people who had like breast cancer or Hodgkin's or leukemia or whatever. And they said they go through the same thing. And we didn't know what the fuck that was. But and we don't know for sure. We're just speculating that we think it was some about the radiation or the chemo or whatever that you took after the cancer. So we all assume that that's what it is, because all of us have had cancer and all of us have had some form of radiation. And the people who didn't go through what we went through don't have this problem. So, like I said, it's speculation on our part, but if you believe in it, you believe in it. So, hey, I keep soda around, but it takes me a week to drink a whole bottle. It's a 20-ounce bottle of soda. It would take me about a week. That shows you just like how much water I drink. Anything, lemonade, juice. I love lemonade. Every now and then I don't deny myself something else. What I try to say is work first, play second. I drink all the water I'm supposed to, or get damn near close to it, and then I can enjoy an occasional soda, lemonade, or something else, tea or whatever. I don't drink coffee. Our money is in the building. What's popping, King? He says, salute, Miss T. I've been drinking my water. Indeed, sir. Indeed. Yogi, what's up, Queen? She in the building. She said, hello, Miss T. Stopping by to show support, my sister. Indeed. Thank you, sis. Thank you. So, y'all know it's going to be a little housekeeping at the beginning, too. Please hit the like, share, and subscribe. In my humblest voice, hit the subscribe button. If you already hit subscribe, you don't have to do it again. You're already locked in. But if you're ever watching, hit the like and share, especially on the replays. Hit the like and share and leave a comment. I do say, I see people, I don't know what country you guys are from, but leave comments that's in a different language. I'm not gonna transcribe it. I really don't know what you're saying. Maybe the message is for me or something else, but it'll come up in my little timeline or something. I don't know, but I can't read nothing but English. Really. I mean, I know Spanish when I see it, but it's not like I'm fluent in this stuff. I'm fluent in English. That's the language I speak. That's the language I read. So leave your comments in English. That way I can see what you said. And I'm open minded. You guys know that. But I'm still plain old TT. Just plain old TT. So please hit the like, share, and subscribe button. My humblest voice, I ask you that. Lean on that lazy when you step into my heezy. Basically saying, hit the damn like button when you step into my square circle. So today's supposed to be Free Friday, where people can join in and talk about current topics, whatever they may be. If you're in the chat, you hear me, Yogi? You're in the chat, or you come on the panel, you can talk about, pick a topic. We'll get into it. I'm turning it over to my guests. Be my guest. Be my guest. Be my guest. But I can't let the day go by without no boxing news now. So before I drop this link, I'm going to just read you this one story. So y'all saw the thumbnail. Tyson Fury, Bob Arum and the others lied for him. And basically I was saying Complexion for the protection. And also Free Fridays, where guests and folks in the chat on the show weigh in on boxing or current topics of the day. It's a free for all, and all are welcome. Yogi said, I'm recuperating from surgery. Oh, okay. Yogi, you might have told me. I gotta check in on you. I'm gonna call you after the show. Just here today, my sister. I hear you. I hear you, sis. But sit tight and put your ears on, and hopefully we probably say some shit. Yogi be like, I gotta weigh in on this. But you rest up, sis. I'll call you. So we're gonna get into the boxing part first, because we got some fights coming up today. In fact, I think Tevin Farmer and Mickey Bay is fighting today. I don't know how to get that fight. I do know that fight is $29.99, which is worth it. And I do want to support him because he's doing it on his own. If people start jumping on the bandwagon and doing that, imagine what boxing would be and the fights we'll get. I mean, I'm thinking positive, that it can only go up. I mean, if you think about it, look at the music industry. A lot of people still go the traditional route and get with a label and let them develop you and all this stuff. But look at how they do it now. You can go online and create your whole career all online yourself and blow up. All these young guys that have mixtapes, they're not tied in per se to a record label and all this stuff, and they make more money than they ever need to. They cut out the middleman. But think about even publishing books. You don't have to go to a big time publisher, take that advance money, where you on the hook. So even if your book is very successful, they get all the proceeds because they can prove that you owe them all this money. You can go to places like Ex Libris and print out your own book. And people can put an order in for your book if it's popular, and they'll print it out and send it to those people. And that money all come back to you. That easy. Um, making your own revenue or stream of revenue when it comes to the arts or entertainment business, you know, it is changed. And a lot of people trying to get with that program and hopefully, so when we see people, especially in boxing, maybe we'll cut out the middleman. Maybe we'll cut out all these other strange things that be happening in boxing that we don't like. Because right now it's almost like, you know, a boxer is like the shiny new object or the distractor. But the people that you paying to see is the promoters and the managers. And why the hell would we want to see their old ass? They're deciding for you as a fan what you like and what you should watch, and you gonna pay them. It's almost like they're just taking your money. So when you have Mickey Bay and Tevin Farmer saying, look, because we would like to see that fight. Hey, people want to see it. Let's do it. And we'll do it ourselves. And hopefully they be successful with it. The problem is, you guys, if they listening or somebody listening, I can't sit here and tell these folks that's listening to me where to go find that fight. And I'm sure it's something simple and easy. You click around enough, I guess you'll find the fight, but you shouldn't have to click around enough to find the fight. So that part got to get better. Like it got to be somewhere. Maybe it's at Fight TV. I don't know. Y'all check that out. FITE. Go check it out. Maybe they loading it up. But $29.99 is not bad to see some old veterans get at each other in the ring. And I'm sure there's other fights that they'll have on the card that's just as inviting and good to see. It's not a lot because in Europe they pay like at best $20 to see fights on TV. Here we are in America paying damn near close to 100. That got to change. That has to change. And if you get fighters independently making their own fights, and there's fights that we want to see, and they charging like $30, hey, isn't that better than $74.99 or $75 or $100 or $80? Isn't that better? It's better. And with streaming being what it is, the technology is there. So anyway, do try to support that. So Tyson Fury has announced yet again he is retired. This man keeps saying, I'm retired. I want to fight Derek Chisora. I'm retired. No, I want to fight Usyk. I'm retired. No, I want to fight AJ. And I already gave you my speculation as to why this man keep going back and forth with the retired talk. And it's because he don't want to be on the hook. Because if you're not retired and you're still on the roster, you can be called upon. And then it might not be somebody you want to actually get in the ring with. He doesn't want to get in the ring again with Deontay Wilder. He doesn't want to. That's for sure. And that's out his own mouth. But then look what Mauricio Suleiman and them did. They ain't made enough money off the trilogy. Yeah, they want another one. They want to do 4 times around. And I feel like Deontay need to ignore the WBC because they ignored him. They didn't do him a solid. And doing a solid can be something as simple as treat you fair. They didn't treat him fairly. I wouldn't even line up to fight nobody for the WBC. At this point, Deontay, you can go for just the money. Just put on interesting fights. People will pay to see it. But no belt. You can do that. It'll serve them right for playing these fucking games. But we got to hear Tyson Fury got 1 foot in, 1 foot out. and he think he fooling somebody. Now you name another fighter out there who has that opportunity or ability to do what Tyson Fury does. There's none out there. I wonder why he can do it. That's what make that's you see people do stuff and then you say, well, how can they do that? I wonder how do they get away with doing that? And you start thinking of other fighters and you be like, it could be your favorite fighters. If Crawford did that, would he get away with it? If Spence did that, would he get away with it? No. I don't even think Canelo could get away with that. If Triple G get away with that? No. The Cool Boy Steph get away with that? No. Did Shakur Stevens get away with that? No. Could Lomachenko get away with that? No, I don't think so. Did Berterbia get away with that? No. And then you be like, why is he getting away with it? But Lomachenko, I say no, but there's at least 5% of me saying maybe. Berterbia, I don't think so. I don't think they hold no water for him. Because he's not even from this country, but I don't know. But certain people seem like they can walk on water. I wonder why. That's why I put complexion for the protection in that start off or whatever. I knew he was gonna come through. How you doing, Jerry? Jerry Tasker is in the building with Papa King. He said, I wonder how Wilder maintained a number one ranking in the WBC after twice being smashed by the bits by Fury. Jerry, we are agreeing on the same thing. I don't know how he became number one either. But Jerry, you always say it's about the money. Isn't it about the money? Jerry said, must be the complexion. Now, Jerry, it's about the money. It's straight about the money. They already did the dirty deed to Deontay. You can't get no dirtier than to take two of the fights from him. He won that first one. He won the third one. If you're going by just the boxing rules, he won. But they didn't call it like that. We do accept their final call, and we ain't got no choice but to accept it. But anything low down and dirty that you could do to this man, they already done. What else could you do to him? But what you do know is that when he show up, there's money being exchanged. PGH Big Dog is in the building. What's Papa King says, salute Queen T. Salute to you too, sir. Jared said, you said it. It's about the money, period. Yeah, but they did him dirty. Can't do nothing else to him but make money off him. You're using him. You're playing him. That's all you can do to Wilder. I wouldn't. Y'all have heard me say I wouldn't be in line with the WBC. PGA said it's all about the money. The only thing square in boxing is the ring. I hear you, King. Now at this point, when it comes to dude, meaning Tyson Fury, people usually ignore him. But Jerry, are you repping Tyson Fury? I don't know, because I'm gonna say some shit about him. You might not like, but it's all good. So like I said, when it comes to him, people usually ignore him. They don't hold his feet to the fire. So I asked why. Because he playing games, with boxing. How do they let him continue to play these games? He ducking and he catching favor. And this is why I say protection for the collection. He clearly is ducking. He ducking in the sense, not that he can't beat the people he ducking. He don't want to. He's a lazy ass person. He's not an honorable person. And Tyson Fury has a problem with authority. He would have been one of them kids that you say, oh, they have a problem with authority. They don't like to listen to people who are have authority over them or tell them what to do. You got adults like that too. But in life, if you're mature and you think about it, doesn't matter what age you are, what set you claim, or wherever you come from, somebody will always have an authority position over you some kind of way, whether it's a teacher, medical person, your job, where you live. And sometimes people, kids, not in this house, but sometimes people will have authority over you and they will exercise that authority. So you're a person that cannot take orders. You damn sure can't be a person that give them. If you cannot be a follower, you can never, and I mean never, be a leader. Because that's one of the tenements of being a good leader, is having been a good follower. Now, people don't think that way, but it is. And Tyson Fury doesn't inhabit any of these traits, by the way. One, he been saying he retired, but he still has a current WBC belt. How does that happen? That's a no-brainer. I'm retired. Well, get off the motherfucking belt. Unass the belt. Two, he was supposed to get stripped of his belt in May. But here we are in August. No change. They had it all planned out. Because we know he likes the privilege that comes with having that belt. You know, he get first dibs. He knows that. So you can't get no sweeter than what Mauricio Suleiman tried to give him. The Emeritus belt. Which basically is a belt like he and Holden. You're retired. Give up the WBC so we can continue to make money. If it's all about the money, this is why I say, this is one of those reasons why I say, Jerry, and to others, that they do what the fuck they want to do. Because as long as Tyson Fury had that belt and he says he's retired, WBC ain't making no money off of them that heavyweight belt. They're not making no money. I thought it was all about the money. I thought it was all business. You biting your nose off to spite your face. Because you can't trust this motherfucker. He got 1 foot out and 1 foot in. He's wasting time. What kind of matches you gonna put in? Who the fuck as a heavyweight really want to be in your ranking system as the WBC? Where it's going? Nowhere. Dude got the belt. He says he's retired. Then he'll say he'll come out of retirement to fight somebody. And then he'll say, nah, I'm going back in retirement. Who does that? And why do they accept it? They have taken belts off people for less. Okay? So the Emeritus belt wasn't good enough, even though it held his place in line, meaning had he ever chose to come back, he will get first dibs at the WBC belt. Whoever had it, you have to face him. He ain't gotta go through nothing, jump through no hoops. He'll get first dibs. So they're answering the maybe fear that Tyson has with giving up that belt, or his hesitation for giving up that belt. They giving him something that he can feel like to hold on to, but he say no. He doing it his way, not Mauricio's way, and they letting him. They letting him. Number 3, even though he didn't, to our notice, talking about the fans, go back to court to finish out his trial that had him banned from fighting in the UK in the first place, he's back fighting in the UK. And pretty much with no explanation. Now, the obvious is he must have had that rectified because he's fighting, right? That's what they like to say. But did any of us see a trial? Did any of us hear about anything? Dude was all the way banned. They had got so far in their trial and then he just dropped out with the old faker rule, I'm retired or I ain't fighting no more, and moved to the States. You didn't, one monkey didn't stop no show. He came here and had his little fights and stayed a tank And then he was going to, try to do Joshua over there where, he ain't had to worry about being banned and stuff. And now he can go back to the UK and do his thug dism. Who they do that for in boxing? Nobody. Just him. Jerry said, never do they want to lose money. Well, it don't look like it to me, Jerry. You can't say he ain't losing money by having that belt on in a holding pattern. Ain't nobody fighting for it. He ain't making no money off that belt. That's what it looked like to me, Jerry. Jerry said Ray Leonard does that. Retired 3 times and came back. Floyd did it also once. Jerry, that has nothing to do with the price of tea in China. We talking about this dude right here. And they ain't hold shit for Floyd and they ain't hold shit for Ray. So stop with the madness, Jerry. Why are you repping him? I don't think you think he's a good guy. I hope you don't think he's a good character. Stop repping him. I'm not talking about the Jerry Taskers of the world or if you're looking at it because he's white. I'm not talking about the white guys of the world that are cool. I'm talking about this motherfucker right here. Period. That's who I'm talking about. And he's not a good guy. He's not an honest broker, Jerry. So stop repping him. His fuck up don't reflect you. It don't reflect on you or any other white guy. It's his fuck up. I'm not talking about the lot of you. I'm talking about him. Reginald Peters said, what up, Big Jerry? He said, hey, Miss T, what's up? Welcome to the building, King. So like I said, we don't know. I ain't saying it didn't happen. I'm saying we're on public news and it just seemed like it happened overnight. 1 minute he was banned, the next minute he's not. Didn't hear no fanfare about the trial or, getting back with the dude who made the accusations or told the truth about what happened. We ain't hear none of that shit. Jared said, what up, Reg? Number 4. They cheated for him in 2 other trilogy fights with Deontay Wilder. Can't say they didn't. As I always point out, I do accept the final conclusion, but I also know what I saw. Me accepting the final conclusion doesn't mean I disregard what I saw. He got knocked the fuck out. Even by his own admission, he was unconscious. The fight at that point became Deontay Wilder's victory. In the 4th fight, I was there. It took him 17 seconds to get up. At the point that he wasn't up on his feet at 9 and then 10, the fight was Deontay Wilder's. So when I say he cheated, this is where it come from. Don't pull it out my ass. I'm just saying. This is what they did for him. They gladly did it for him. And so we can sit here and say why. That's a real question. Reginald Peters said, what's relaxing y'all laugh out loud? I don't know, maybe I fumbled my words, Reginald. I can go on and on and on about this guy. Who in boxing have that kind of luck and opportunity? And I don't think that they really like him like that. I don't think the sanctioning bodies like him like that. Or the powers that be in boxing. I don't think they think he's the greatest or whatever. He was the guy that did the job that they wanted to do, which is to dethrone Deontay Wilder. He was the only one who could get that job done. And that's where his claim to fame or relevance or benefit of the doubt with the powers that be, that's where it lies. He was the one who could do what they wanted to do, is dethrone and dismantle Deontay Wilder. That's why they don't really fuck with him that much. You know what I'm saying? That's why they took his bullshit. Because if they'd have held his feet to the fire, he wouldn't even had the opportunity to do all that. President Peters said, who? Jared said, how come no official protest to the commission from Wilder camp then for a long count? Jared, I don't care what you say. I just told you what I saw. Now, if you got some kind of magical powers to make me unsee what I saw, I don't know how you don't understand that I said as well, I accept whatever conclusions they had. That means they counted it as a draw and 2 wins for Tyson. I accepted it, Jerry. But I will never accept what I saw. I don't know why that's important to you. It's how you wanted it to be. He got the win. You got what you wanted. I don't want nothing just given to me. I wanted what I saw. I wanted what was told to me in boxing when you're unconscious, fight over. I wanted it to be called the way they call every other fight. I can't have separate rules for this person and that person and still be a fan. It makes it difficult to be a fan of boxing, period, when you gotta know that some people gonna get special favors and others don't. I can't get with shit like that. I don't care what color they are. If they was doing it for Deontay, I would be just as upset. But you act like nobody can criticize a white person. I don't know if that's what you're saying, but I don't see how me criticizing him or saying what I'm saying about him, especially when I'm speaking the truth, is bothering you. I don't see how that's bothering you. Reginald Peters said Fury. Jared said, how come no official? Okay, I read that. And then he said, Wilder and Mike Tyson got cheated with long ass counts. I'm talking about current news, Jerry. Again, we're gonna let Tyson Fury on this channel stand in his shit. We ain't gotta talk about nobody else. ATL Unanimous Boxing Sports. What's Poppy King said, Queen, what's going on, Shawty? I'm just dropping this one story, then I'm gonna drop the link, ATL. Jared, that's the part you can't. Every time criticize somebody that you like or whatever, you want to bring everybody else into it. He can stand on his shit by himself, Jared. I can hold his feet to the fire. I know everybody else don't want to. So when you bring up other people, it's like, well, they did it here, so story is over. Move on. There's nothing to see here. This happened over here, so that's over. Because it happened over there. Nothing really happened bad over here. It's over. That's how you be sounding, Jerry. And I know you don't mean to, but that's how you sound. I'm telling you. Reginald Peters said boxing business is shady business. I feel you. I'm not the one who mentioned Tyson. Check it again. You was talking about Leonard and somebody else. Reginald said Tyson. But to all of y'all, let what you call him stand in his own shit. Mention others too, Jerry and Reginald. I'm saying it to you too when it comes to Mike Tyson. Yeah, I'm just talking about what Tyson Fury is getting away with and what made me bring this man up today, because this is not something new. I've said it before, but what makes me bring him up today, I'll tell you why. Because Bob Arum out here lying and capping for him. Not just Bob, but I that's why I say and others. It's not just Bob. When Bob trying to act like Tyson, he trying to placate or drop the affiliation between Daniel Canahan and Tyson Fury. What when Tyson Fury had a chance to do it, he doubled down on it. Why Bob got to come behind him and try to sweep up shit? He said, "Yeah, because you asked who else does that." It was rhetorical, Jerry. The rhetorical question. I should have said rhetorical. You got me. I should have said rhetorical. But I'm letting Tyson Fury stand in his own shit. I'm just wondering. That's why I call Bob a lying ass. Because Extra O is in the building with Poppy King. He said, Miss T, salute Queen T. Salute to you, King. That's why I be calling Bob a lying ass. There's no way You can sweep under the rug Tyson Fury's affiliation with Daniel Canahan. Do I know how they're affiliated in particular? No, and I don't care. But he doubled down on it himself, talking Tyson Fury. So did Josh Taylor. So did Mauricio Suleiman. So, Bob, why would you come behind? When you got the memo, Bob, you dropped his ass like a hot potato. Whatever affiliations you have with Daniel Canahan, you dropped him like a hot potato. You know what I'm saying? You put a lot of your people in jeopardy who were in your stable by just even being affiliated with this dude. Sometimes it can happen. Sometimes you can link up with somebody you think they cool in the beginning, and then years down the line, they be the devil themselves. Sometimes shit like that can happen. I ain't saying that couldn't happen to Bob. But when Bob got the memo, he dropped him like a hot potato, like he was supposed to. But your boy Tyson, your boy Josh, both in your stable, Bob, they didn't. They doubled down. I know, Mauricio is his own little entity, but he did too. Those three doubled down, even though the world was hot about this motherfucking character, Daniel Canahan. And now you want to come out and try to placate or try to be dismissive about Tyson Fury's affiliation. Is it because you possibly having a hard time getting the fight done because of his affiliation? Because we know that can happen to fighters who are affiliated with dude. Reginald said Mike Tyson versus Douglas fight. Douglas slow count. Reginald, we talking about Tyson Fury. We got to stick to the program. Not talking about nobody else. I just told you guys why I even brought it up. I think they are trying to make a power move with Tyson Fury, but his affiliation is fucking everything up. Now that would be the only reason why Bob would come out and say what he's saying. Al Money said extra. Jerry Tasker said, as did Crawford with his association with the same gangster. Crawford didn't have no affiliation with that man that made his situation adverse. You know, a lot of people talk to that guy. Crawford, it was in just as much danger of being affiliated with him when Bob was affiliated with him, by Crawford just being a part of top rank and everybody else who's a part of top rank, and Bob being the head having affiliations with Daniel Canahan. But to try to act like Crawford moseyed up with him and broke bread and signed contracts, I'm not going to do that. No, that ain't the case. That's not the case, Jerry. We're not going to put that jacket on him. I never even said nothing about Josh Taylor and Tyson Fury's affiliation with him until they themselves double down. Now, it's one thing to be affiliated, and as I said, you don't even know that's the devil till you know. Tyson could have very well been affiliated with this dude and didn't know his situation. I doubt it, but he did. He could have. Josh Taylor too. Bob, Mauricio, all the other folks, Pro Bellum, MTK, who else? Golden Boy. Everybody seemed like they worked with this man. But then when he became public enemy number one and the warning was shot across the bow, it was incumbent upon everybody to follow suit like Bob did, dropping like a bad habit. But those guys, Tyson Fury and Josh Taylor, Mauricio Suleiman, instead of doing that, instead of running the other way like everybody else did, they doubled down. Reginald said Bud was in business with him too. He was not. That is a lie. He was not. Andrew Charles. Salute Miss T. Salute Andrew. Salute King. Reginald Peter said, laugh out loud. He wasn't, Reginald. He said, okay. He wasn't. Not in no way, shape, or form can anybody in the chat, out there in the YouTube community, nobody can show and prove he was signed to this guy. Nobody can. And if you say he was and Bob knew, guess what Bob gonna do? He gonna let that come out in Discovery too. And we just all gotta wait and see. But right now, here today, nobody got proof of that. But they like to say it. You know, that man talked to a lot of people, your favorite fighters included. Does that mean y'all gonna put the jacket on those favorite fighters like they put on Crawford? You're not gonna do it. Andrew Charles, there is nothing out there confirms any connection between Crawford and MTK. It's not. I know. Al Money, salute fam. Extra O, Reginald, salute fam. So when I say who in boxing had that kind of luck and opportunity, what's new about this story is that Bob is trying to placate and play down Tyson Fury's affiliation with Daniel Canahan. Now he does it. Tyson Fury didn't do it. Tyson Fury stood 10 toes down and said, that's my dude. That's what he did. Y'all know he did. His tape out there to show him doing that. Or video, I should say. Reginald Peters said, what's up, Ordinary? But don't that make Bob Arum a liar? Speaking up for him when he saw the video just as well as the rest of the world. Trying to disassociate Tyson Fury from ever having an affiliation with Daniel Canahan, but Tyson said it out his own mouth. You know what I see? Two of your fighters, this is what I see. Two of your fighters, two of your premier fighters have ties with this man, and they refuse to move away from him. You know, they refuse to jump off this dude, like put him to the side and treat him like a wet food stamp. And look at how their life is turning out right now. Look at Josh Taylor dropping all these belts. They treating him kind of like a wet food stamp, but he asked for it. They did give him the benefit of the doubt, but he was your premier fighter, Bob. But he doubled down when you the one who dropped them off. Both Josh Taylor and Tyson Fury been in the controversial bouts where it looked like the fix was in. Both of them. We know that Josh Taylor lost to Catterall. Everybody know that. Tyson Fury, he was knocked unconscious. He lost that fight. Everybody who's being honest know that. And they both refused to divorce dude when the word was put out and recommended to do so. Then after that, they doubled down. Now, like I said, look at their ass now. They should have followed Bob's lead. And we can't never forget Mauricio Suleiman was the third guy like them, and he too doubled down on his support of Daniel Canahan. So I'm saying this is what broke the news for me today. That he's got to get all up in his in the groove and let folks know that his fighters is cool beans, but you got to lie to do it. We saw the video, Bob. That Bob is an honest broker. My ass. Reginald said, what up, Al Money? I'm about to drop this link. Al Money said, Reginald. So look, this is Free Friday. ATL unanimous. Boxing suggested it, and Destiny Black suggested it. And hey, it's Free Friday. We can talk about anything. I put up a couple of topics I saw. Let's just say what we'll talk about. Yeah, so I see. So, we can talk about anything and what y'all think. I'll sit back and wait and see. I dropped the link. Waiting for ATL to drop in. C's is in the building. What's poppin', King? He said, what up, Queen? Miss C. What up, chat? What up, C? Y'all saw my thumbnail. I got Tyson Fury. I just went over what was important to me about that situation. But now we can get into the Free Friday. It's Friday, and we got this Free Friday where we can talk about current topics and all that in the world today. But I can't let Friday go past without actually talking about boxing. So, you as anybody who want to get on the panel and bring up a topic that's near and dear to their heart, we can pontificate on it. Remember, you guys asked me, so I'm following through with that. I love looking at the animal videos, right? So, look, we talked about Tyson. So y'all saw the thumbnail, but this lady in the middle, she a piece of work. Oh, look at Jerry. Jerry didn't learn how. Jerry, I'm trying to pull you in. Jerry didn't work. Ooh. Jerry, you in the background. I see you. I'm hitting add to the stream and it's not letting me. Come out and come back in, Jerry. This woman, she's a what they call it, OnlyFans model. She was fighting her boyfriend in the elevator and she stabbed him. I guess they got that kind of abusive relationship. And she stabbed him. I don't know if it was with a butter knife or not usually something you would want to stab somebody with, but she hit a main artery or something. Killed dude. And what jumped out to me, and this is current news. She's an OnlyFans model, so she still make money on her OnlyFans. But she went to Hawaii, which is a state, and it's murder we talking about. So I know that certain states don't like to extradite folks from, like, you're not gonna go to Hawaii and get extradited back to the states on the East Coast for child support. They want that's the state ain't go neither state gonna put no money behind that because it costs money to send you back and escort you back to wherever you need to go to woo. But for murder, every state should have all kinds of money for murder. And what struck me is that this woman, uh, they got pictures of her a bloody mess, standing on a balcony in handcuffs. So it sounds like somebody arrested her. But how did she get away? Like once you slap the handcuffs on her, how did she manage to get away and get all the way to Hawaii and still be running the OnlyFans? And I don't get it. I mean, at that point, it's a federal case, I guess. Jerry came back in. Let's see if it worked. Okay, Jerry, go ahead and speak. Which one of you? Jerry? Take your thing off mute. Extra. Oh, I put the link in the chat. Yeah, I'm gonna jump on once I get home too. Okay, I got you, Extra. Jerry, we cannot hear you. I know you guys can hear me. Jerry, we can't hear you. You making me think the mixer is something wrong. I don't know, Jerry. Checking in your laptop or your computer to see if you authorize the audio. Because we can't hear you. But yeah, so that story was crazy to me. She said it was self-defense. And why you run, I don't know. I'm not an escaped criminal, so I don't know why people do what they do. But that story jumped out to me that she still ran an OnlyFans page and she just killed her boyfriend. And her justification is like, we argue like this all the time. He be abusive to me, but I'm gonna run and I'm gonna go to another state like Hawaii. I hope I don't get extradited, but I'm gonna still run my OnlyFans page and make money. Like, I don't know what the fuck wrong with people's mind. Like if you murder somebody, even if it's by accident, what the fuck? I don't know. That was a current topic that I threw in there. You guys can bring up something else. We see that we getting close to Savannah Marshall, Cheryl, and Larissa fighting. Accident. Fuck. Hello. That was a current topic.
Hello.
Okay, I hear the background, Jerry. I hear So
Right.
wherever you playing me, listen. Wherever you playing me, take that sound off or cut it off. But
Yeah,
just talk to me.
I
Okay,
got it
Jerry.
all.
We can hear you. Okay, Jerry, you
Yeah.
got the floor. What topic you want to bring up and talk about? Go ahead, Jerry.
No, I'm just listening. I'm not going to sit here and argue about the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder fights. They're done and recorded history, and what's done is done. Is Bob Arum a liar? Yeah, he's a liar. I mean, he's a fight promoter. Those guys are liars by nature. That includes Oscar, Eddie Hearn, PBC. They lie. That's what they do. When it comes to this guy, McCanahan, yes, he was tied with Bud Crawford, along with Tyson Fury and others, several others. It's information that's available on the internet. Apparently, he was a power broker, and a lot of people were tied to him until they found out that he was being criminally investigated. And wisely, uh, everybody trying to break ties with him. I mean, who can blame them? I mean, if you think a guy can get you some money and be advantageous to your career, it's a lot of boxers gonna try to align themselves with him. But if you find out that he is the guy that he is, well, like anybody, even in the streets, you're not going to want to be aligned with someone like him. And that's what you're seeing here. Tyson Fury, from what I understand, can't even come back into the United States because of
Yeah,
his affiliation with this guy.
yeah, Jerry. I don't know if you heard this, but when again, you're right that people can inadvertently be connected to this guy. Everybody at top rank is kind of got shit on their fingers with this one by virtue of Bob because Bob was affiliated with him, and Bob is the CEO. We know that we say that the fighter should be the boss, but the way the landscape is today, it's like you work for Bob as he's the president, CEO, whatever of Top Rank, and who he get money from and investing and all that. It's you getting something out the deal from his affiliations and stuff that he does. But what I liked, Jerry, is that I know as far as the US, I can't speak on Interpol, but I think they in line with the US and other, countries, police force or whatever that want him. The US to me shot across the bow like a warning shot. Hey, this is where we at with this dude. Got any affiliation, break them down. You got to get out of jail free card. You could be inadvertently connected with this guy and don't even know. But once you found out, you had to run for the hills. You had to like if that person had a contract with Daniel and they was in the U.S., Daniel has no recourse to try to hold them to that contract. They could break that shit at will. But there was three people there that doubled down, and that was Josh Taylor and Tyson Fury and Mauricio Suleiman. Now this is after the warning because they did send a warning out first. So Bob,
Here's a list of fighters that have been affiliated with him: Bud Crawford, Tyson Fury, Billy Joe Sanders, Josh Taylor, Carl Frampton, Terry Flanagan, Charlie Edwards, Rocky Fielding, Yuri Fury, Michael Conlon, which is the Irish dude, Patty Barnes, Jamel Herring, and Amancio Perishiv.
and you know how they say, let's take the ones in the states that I heard your list. The two jumped out at me, Jamel and Bud. Are you saying they're affiliated with him because they talk to him? Or are you saying in the contract or tied to him, like getting money from him and stuff? What are you saying?
To be honest with you, I've been doing some Google searching on it, and I don't. It doesn't really detail the exact mundos on anybody's affiliation with them. Not even Tyson Fury's. I don't know. I know that he's affiliated with him somehow, but to what degree, I can't find anything.
Well, we
Nor
never.
nor
You said
nor
you
Bud
saying
Crawford.
when you mentioned Jamel Hearn, this is a first. I never heard that before. I'm just being
Well, I think
honest. I ain't saying it's real or not. I'm saying it's the first. You saying it.
well,
I'm
I
not
think
saying it is.
Jamel Herring is a top ranked fighter.
Jamel Herring, I don't think he is. He's PBC.
Is he
Oh
PBC? I don't know.
no, Jamel Herring. I'm sorry. I'm thinking Jamel Charlo. I stand corrected. You said Jamel Herring, the one
Yeah, it
that
looks like
Shakur.
it mostly. It looks like it mostly top ranked fighters, from what I
Right.
can see.
So let me
Yeah,
tell you the affiliation that was detailed back then when all the story broke. Bud Crawford had a known conversation with the man. Does that amount to being signed with them or not? You were top rank in bed with this dude. We don't know to what extent, but top rank is affiliated with him heavy at the time or back in the day. And you got your top fighters or whatever with top rank. I'm sure when they throw the office party or whatever, or the get-togethers or whatever, or he comes around or whatever, I'm sure those fighters had conversations with him. But that's the extent of the affiliation with Bud. And I put that out when it broke. I actually named Bud. I said, because it's known that he had a conversation with him. He never signed with him. He never signed with MTK. He never did any of those things. Nobody has brought out proof. It's been asked and asked and asked. And there's enough people out there that hate Bud Crawford to show the proof. And Bob got every reason to drop dime on Bud right now if that was true. But it was never true. The most you can
well,
say is he
I'm
had a
I'm only going by what I
conversation.
can see.
I
What I
know,
can see
Jerry.
here.
I ain't blaming you. I ain't blaming you. I'm just saying that was the gist of it. He
I
had a
don't know.
conversation with
I
him.
don't know either. It doesn't detail if Fury had more than a conversation with him. What I
Well,
do see here now is that Bud Crawford was being represented by MTK Global during the Manny Pacquiao negotiations, and that broke down. The boxing management company founded the alleged Irish gangster Daniel Canahan. It ceased operations. The guy's bad news. It doesn't make Crawford or any of those guys anything other than fighters looking for opportunity. Because when you got power brokers in boxing, they're guys that sometimes will, oftentimes, what they do is they provide the money, they provide the financing
uh,
for big fights,
they
and
put a
so
now one thing that people like to criticize Bud about is he don't promote himself. He don't try to do nothing to generate no revenue, to generate nothing to promote himself, to get sponsors, this, that, and the other. But now we're gonna not you, Jerry, but we gonna turn around because I know some people take this and run with it and be like, "Well, Bud was doing all that with Daniel, but he wasn't. He talked to the man. That's about it." And guess what? If he's affiliated with Bob, I don't see why that would have been a big stretch. I don't see at all how that could have been a big stretch for him to talk to him. But trust me, if he was affiliated, that Porter fight wouldn't have went down. That Porter fight, because this shit was popping off last year about Daniel Canahan. And people, and let me tell you, when it came out, Bob skedaddled. And that's
everybody
something
did.
Bob did. And when you said Tyson Fury, you don't know the extent. Tyson Fury have said and is on video. That's my manager. His his ties with him. Like he went in a little bit more detail. Like he's working with the guy. The guy got me this. He's doing this for me. This, that, and other. That's what Tyson said out his own mouth. This video
Yeah,
of it.
well, apparently this guy had made major moves in boxing, which is why these major players like Crawford and Fury and Frampton had aligned themselves with him to one degree or another because he was a player. That doesn't, Shelley Finkel was a major broker in boxing. Very few people knew who Shelley Finkel was, but he handled Tyson's career for a long time. And like I say, when you got these big when you got these power brokers and they're looking to finance fights, fighters will oftentimes, and the promoters more specifically, will bring them in to co-promote and really co-finance. And so it doesn't surprise me, but regardless of all of that, Tyson Fury, at least from what I can tell, I don't know if it's true or for sure, but from what I can tell, his affiliation with the guy has cost him his passport credentials.
Yeah, it's costing them a lot because this
I
is
don't
why
know how
a
much
lot
of
of
the
times that's costing them a lot. He can't even come back here. He got a home here in Vegas. He can't even come back. He can't square up business. I guess he could do it over the phone. Can't square up business about his home and other stuff he owned in the States. His brother couldn't even fly back. That's why the Jake Paul and Tommy Fury fight fell through. The best they could do is have fights in England and over there in which column. But Tyson bragged about he doubled down. That's what I'm saying. Regardless of what happened before, you can play. All of them can play ignorant, even though we know Jared. They knew who that man was, but they all can play.
Well, I wouldn't suggest that the fighters knew. They probably didn't know. They probably just thought that he was a broker in boxing like Shelly Finkel. They probably didn't know. A lot of people, I'm sure, didn't know that this guy was the gangster that he truly is. I mean, if they did, their handlers would be really ignorant to align with him in any capacity because it's bad business, really.
I'm not talking
So
about the fighters. I'm talking about per se those top guys: Bob Arum, Golden Boy, Mayweather, Al Heyman, DAZN, Eddie Hearn. They know. They know who they was getting into bed with. Now maybe they don't relay that message all the way down to each fighter. I mean, that ain't nothing. You don't do that in the regular world. You got somebody from ill repute. You don't fucking share that with the whole crew. They just don't do it like that. But I'm saying, Jared, when the shit hit the fan, there was a warning shot. And to me, that was a get out of jail free card for everybody. And if you didn't run for the hills and you double down, that's on you. Nope, like I said, people getting the benefit of the doubt from beforehand. Tyson Fury said he worked with the man personally. He fucking did this, that, and the other for him. That's on video. Josh Taylor doubled down. Mauricio doubled down. They had to know. I mean, this is after the warning shot. Before the warning shot, you can play ignorant. Everybody can play ignorant. But after the warning shot, no, ain't no playing ignorant. That's all I was saying. A lot of people gonna be caught up in that shit inadvertently or not on purpose. A lot of people, fighters and all, because they didn't know. That's not something you share with everybody in the crew. But the top guys whose company it is, they knew. That's why every time Eddie Hearn be like, I want to go to Saudi Arabia, and everybody says it's just about the money, I just raise my eyebrow. People can believe what they want to believe. I see what I see.
well, this right here underlines that it's just about the money because the affiliation with this guy wasn't because they liked him; it was because he had money. He's has a $1 billion what I'm reading here, organized crime with operations over 1 billion, advising Terrence Crawford, Josh Taylor, um, a list of fighters. Kinahan, operating in boxing. Irish politician Neil Richmond said earlier this year the sport must fight back. This guy got found out, and of course when he got found out, lots of people fleeing from their association with him, which is what they should do. Now, how that affect. Tyson Fury just fought a few months ago, and he fought the guy, the perennial.
Dillian
Yeah,
White.
Dillian Wayne. Well, Tyson Fury's purse for that fight was $32 million.
Mhm.
Tyson Fury, like many fighters, a relative few fighters overall, but like many fighters in the history of boxing, they get to a point where they don't need the belts. Tyson Fury has never been a big advocate of the belts. He's had all the belts and he's dropped the belts. He doesn't like following the rules of the commissions or the sanctioning bodies for the belts. And frankly, he just doesn't need the belts. His latest announcement about his retirement shouldn't come as any surprise. I mean, every time I see this guy, he's retiring, unretiring. He wants 500 million to fight Joshua. Then he says he wants to fight him for free. He's constantly playing the media, and I don't know why he even gets any more attention really about it because it's very clear what he's doing. I mean, it's an old trick in boxing. That's how he can keep his name relevant. And the thing is, if he has the WBC belt and they try to force a contender on him, he doesn't have to fight them. He can just say, "Here, you can have the belt back," and he's still going to make a big fight. If he fights Anthony Joshua and there's no titles on the line, it's still going to be a massive fight, and it won't even matter if there's any titles on the line. And Tyson Fury knows that, so he's not a slave to the belts. I think you know how I feel. I think there's too many belts in boxing. They water down the sport. The sanctioning bodies that govern these belts are basically slave owners to the promoters that they work with. The rankings, they're bought and paid for, and really it's kind of destroyed boxing in a way. It used to be, there was a champion. Nobody had to guess who the heavyweight champion was because you knew who the champ was because there was one heavyweight champ. Now it hasn't been that way for quite a while, and I get it. And at first I thought, okay, this might be a good idea for more sanctioning bodies to, more title fights. But it's gotten so far out of control, and there's so much dictating going on. I mean, you see it all the time. And by your own admission, Wilder's high ranking in the WBC. There's no way he should have that ranking. Keith Thurman was just recently elevated to the number one contender.
Yeah, he shouldn't have had it either. Let me get
Yeah,
this chat right quick. Then I'm gonna let you go back to talking, Jerry. Quentin Bradley, welcome to the building, King. He said, "Good evening, Miss T." And Heron is associated with him. Top. Reginald said, "That's enough for conspiracy with Bud." Laugh out loud. No, because if you're gonna say that, then you might as well say about the PBC too, because I'm sure he was affiliated with them too. They were all affiliated. But go ahead, Jerry. Go ahead, Jerry. I'm sorry. Jerry, go ahead. Jerry, we can't hear you. I'm sorry. I even interrupted. I just want to make sure I get these chats, Jerry. Jerry, we can't hear you. But until Jerry come back, bold and understanding is in the building. What's Poppy King? Oh, what you got on the what we talking about?
Hey, what's going on, Miss T? I just stopping by. I'm finally just jumping back online and stuff. A lot of times I ain't really had time to get online and stuff.
I hear you working hard for the money.
Yeah, trying to get out there.
Yeah.
We can't hear you. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I get these chats, Jerry. Jerry, you back? Okay, go ahead, Bo. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but what's the topic tonight?
Well, this is what ATL, Unanimous Boxing, and Destiny Black has suggested that we have a free Friday. I dropped the link. I don't know where they at. Extraordinary is going to come through, and free topic meaning we can talk about any current topics that the chat want to talk about or people on the panel want to talk about. We get into it, and we're gonna be respectful, be passionate, whatever. But I couldn't let a Friday go past without talking about boxing. And my topic was about Bob Arum. Yeah, Bob Arum talking about turn me off in the back.
I got it.
In the back. Okay. Well, Bob Arum, what made this topic come up again, because I've spoke extensively about Tyson Fury, Daniel Canahan, or just Tyson Fury, period. But the retirement, then he not retired. But what brought this up for me tonight was the fact that Bob is trying to placate. He's trying to placate or just disassociate Tyson Fury with Daniel Canahan. And I think he lied to the public. And I think it's wrong because when they shot the warning shot about this affiliation with this guy, that was everybody's ticket to go run for the hills or get away from the guy. But Tyson Fury doubled down. Josh Taylor doubled down. Mauricio Suleiman doubled down. And now you hear Bob out here trying to sweep up for Tyson and basically saying there was no affiliation of this, that, and other. And he know it was. Even Bob ran for the hills when the warning shot was shot. So, and I did want to say too, when you was talking, Jerry, all money ain't good money. That's number one. So yeah, some of them knew what type of dude this was, and it don't matter that he was invested. That's like saying you're gonna go into business with somebody who I'm gonna say the worst. would you pitch your tent with a pedophile? No, you wouldn't. Not saying that this is nothing like that. I'm just saying, as a person, would you pitch your tent with somebody who's a known pedophile because they could bring you the money? Hell no. You ain't gonna want nothing to do with them. So all money ain't good money. And if it ain't about the belts, then why he won't let it go? Because Mauricio offered him a good deal with the Emeritus belt. He don't want to drop it because he want to currently be the WBC. But how do you do that and be retired? And he didn't make enough money in that fight to warrant $32 million. I'm talking about with Tyson Fury and Dillian White. But go ahead, Bo.
Damn. That's a lot right there. It's a lot right there.
Well, that's what he got. He got 32 million. It's not up to me to determine what he's worth. That's what the European market valued the fight, and that's what he got.
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
but we know
Hey,
he
Jerry,
ain't
hey, Jerry, that's you, Jerry?
Yeah, what's up, buddy?
Man, you done graduated from the phone, man. You made it on
I'm in the business.
He said he up in this bitch.
Yeah.
I had to get my daughter to hook it up for me.
Hey, Jared, that's why you have kids, right?
Yeah, right.
they got to keep
I
us
know I know how to do it now.
They look, Jared said he on with the technology. Fuck y'all bitches.
Can't duck me, son. Can't duck me.
I know that's right, Jared. I know that's right. Your daughter, hey, they got to work for some. My daughter told me the other day, you call me back here to turn on the light. I was like, that's what they do. That's what parents
No,
do.
it might be pertinent to add, and I could be wrong because I'm just going by what I can see here. It doesn't look like this guy Kenahan has been charged with any crime at this point.
He has I don't know if it's an indictment or he's charged, but there's a bounty on him from the U.S. Department of Treasury and the Homeland and the Irish Police and Interpol. So
I keep trying to I can't find anything that really is really putting on. I mean, it's not like you can't find this guy. I mean, he can be found.
Well, where he is, I don't think they have extraditing laws or something. They can't get him from where he is. I think
But he's supposedly in Ireland.
No, I heard he was supposed to be in the Middle East somewhere.
Oh.
They can't
Well,
extradite him.
he's bad news, and anyone who had any affiliation with him should run.
Yeah, they should.
He's apparently an Irish gangster and a really important one at that. And those guys too are oftentimes it's very difficult to make things stick on them for different reasons. Extradition. A lot of times they got people with fall guys. A kingpin like that is very very difficult to nail them to the cross. But if the U.S. is pulling visa applications and stuff and not letting people try, that tells you that's a red flag.
Plus it's a $5 million bounty on anything that can lead to the capture and conviction of him, his brother, or his daddy, a piece. But altogether, there's $15 million if you can get a group of them. So hey, but Bo, go ahead. But let Bo get on there, get in, because I had to tell him what the topic was. But go ahead, Bo.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a little familiar with the Dan Kenahan. I just never, I just haven't kept up with it, to be honest with you. The one thing I do want to discuss is this whole, I guess, offer that Terrence Crawford got, or two different offers and stuff. And this is just the one thing I think about it. To me, it's like they got a lot of money to offer Canelo Alvarez, and I get it, return on investment, right? But this is so crazy, right? Everybody's, so high and mighty on PBC, hey, it's the black company and everything else, but they don't even offer black people, you know what I'm saying, black bosses like that type of money. And then on top of that, they making like, crazy claims and saying like, oh, they're just going to stream the fight anyway, like as if they don't trust in the black dollar. And to me, that's a slap in the face. When you hear that coming from the company that a lot of these YouTube content creators be praising and stuff like that. And it just goes to show, that while they were capping for the PBC for the longest, and PBC ain't nothing but a business just like everything else, because they made it seem like the PBC was going to be like, oh, it's for black and brown people, but it's not. They basically running it like a regular business, and technically that's how you really supposed to run it anyway. But just the only thing I just don't like is just how they try to basically insult the I guess the black audience. Oh, you're gonna stream it, you ain't gonna buy it, that type of stuff. Now this is the one of the most anticipated fights of the year, and even people of all different races want to see this damn fight, but yet they seem like they just low ball Terrence Crawford. Then on top of that, they want to give him a 3-fight deal. Like, I thought Terrence, was mainly interested in only fighting Errol Spence and Jamel Charlo. So that's the only thing, when it comes to like the hypocrisy of this company that a lot of content creators be capping for.
True. Ray News Salters is in the building. Was Papa King? He said Queen T. Salute the panel and chat. We love y'all. Love you too, sir. And Jerry, Bo said it probably better than how I said it before, but that was my sentiments too. Like, I just feel like when you come up with a reason for something, no matter how rational and logical it sounds, let that reason be across the board. If you're not gonna say it across the board, because everybody say it's a business, it's a business, as if I don't understand that. But I do understand that. I don't know of any business that be like, you know what, we made $50 million. I don't care about that extra couple of millions or that extra 15 million that's out there. Let them have it. I don't see businesses doing that. I see businesses saying, run me all my money. You know what I'm saying? Jerry and us, we talked about this before too. Isn't it right, Jerry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a couple things though. One, black folks ain't the only people that stream fights. White people stream fights too.
Yeah. We no, I totally agree with that. But what I'm saying is, when you hear from people like Tim Smith and certain people in that organization, they basically say stuff that's almost stereotypical about and they make it seem like it's a bad stereotype on our part, like as if nobody else streams and whatnot. So
yeah, I think Jared, they was aiming it at the way black people feel is that they were aiming it at black people.
I just wonder why though. Why would you just assume that they're saying that when a lot of people stream fights? And streaming is becoming a problem in boxing. And lots of people are talking about it. Steven Espinoza, Bob Arum, De La Hoya spoke about it. Lots of people. That's why you don't see pay-per-view. That's a part of the reason why pay-per-view is not a popular format anymore. DAZN has had one pay-per-view. That was that Canelo fight. One pay-per-view. They're not a network that deals with pay-per-view sales. Basically, the only one that's really doing that now that I can see is the PBC. And their people are saying that streaming is becoming a bigger and bigger problem. Now, I don't know what's hard to believe about that. I don't know what's white or black about that. White people stream fights too.
Jerry,
and that would affect a white fighter just as it would a black fighter.
And Jerry, I was staying with you on this. White people stream too. It ain't just black. But what Bold is saying is, when you come up with that as a reason, if streaming been a problem, it's always been a problem. It doesn't matter where it come from.
Well, it's becoming a bigger problem.
But see, this was the thing is, they make it seem like we can't help how they presented it. They make it seem like, well, niggas just gonna stream it anyway, so why put anything to the other niggas? That is how they presented it, Jerry. I'm just trying to tell you, like, this is how somebody black like me and Bold and others, we gonna be like, what? When we know the streaming goes down with everybody, but you presenting it like it's just us niggas doing it. So
no, I think that's more perception, because I've heard plenty of black folks not say that the way you're saying it, but because it's two black fighters, it's you automatically perceiving that it's about the race instead of just the fact that streaming is becoming an increasingly bigger problem. It's not like it started out as big as it is now and it's the same as it was then as it is now. No, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. More and more people are getting those hot sticks and streaming illegal pay-per-view.
But Jerry, check this out, Jerry. Check this out. So the thing, what I'm getting at is when the PBC was trying to make another fight deal with Canelo Alvarez, you never heard Tim Smith or anybody come out and say, "Oh, they just want to stream it anyway." As a matter of fact, they got so upset that Canelo didn't take the deal that they just started blasting them in articles and stuff. Oh, well, we offer him this much to fight this guy. Like, they were saying like, Canelo was ducking such and such because we offer him this much money. They was offering so much money, they didn't even care if somebody was going to illegally stream the fight or not. That's what it comes down to. But when it came down to Terrence Crawford, the first thing that came out of his Tim Smith mouth is, I don't want to insult the guy like as if, like, oh, he ain't profitable and, people going to legally stream it anyway. And, like that's the type of language you hear. It's like you hear just in general, like other things, right? We know like a lot of different race of people like to smoke marijuana, right? But who get the negative stereotype when it comes to marijuana? You don't never hear nobody, oh, white, they don't associate like white folks with marijuana. And if white folks own business, like marijuana plants and businesses and stuff like that, but they don't associate that with white people. They associate marijuana with black
welfare. There's
Yep,
more
welfare.
white people on welfare than since the welfare existed. Let me get it out, Jerry. I ain't playing the race card, but there's more welfare white people on welfare, and always been that way. There ever was blacks, but when you hear welfare and the welfare queen, it's always blacks. And the best example of this thing with the streaming is when I think about the drug problem, and we know Jerry and Bo and the chat. We know the drugs been a problem in America for many years, in other countries as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know what the answer was for drugs and getting on crack, which crack devastated communities. So does heroin. That devastates communities. So does opium. It devastates communities. But the answer for the crack epidemic, throw these niggas in jail, arrest them, anywhere, whatever. But then when it became an opioid problem, and it's truly just more white folks, and it's not good. It's not a good thing that they're hooked on this shit, and it was done to them on purpose, and it was unfair play done to them. You know what the answer is? It's a disease. You shouldn't lock them up. And white and black people gonna sit back and be like, why you couldn't think of that back then? Drugs is a disease. They say alcoholism is a disease. But why you don't think of that when it's just a black problem? This is the culture we live in, Jared. This is why some people draw those conclusions. I hope I explain.
Right, but a lot of it is about perception because I got 3 people that I went to high school with that just got out of prison not recently ago because they were victims of the 3-strike rule that was Ronald Reagan's answer to the crack epidemic. That didn't just affect black people. I know tons of people that are dead and in their grave, white people that were crack addicts, went to jail for dealing crack. Crack wasn't just something about for black folks, but it did affect adversely black folks more because black folks, the reality is they would a lot of times would get caught street dealing and get caught on a 3-strike rule. I didn't like it back then. I thought it was bad and a knee-jerk reaction to that crack epidemic. And it did adversely affect black folks, but it's not like they just made that rule for black folks.
But nobody ever say that. Nobody ever say that. We know we paint the picture like it is.
Right. When you paint that picture, it's painting a picture that it was somehow set up to just affect black folks, and it affected.
No, that's not what we're saying, Jared. So we clear.
Regarding the pharmaceuticals,
I have to be clear. This opioid epidemic is done to white people, and it's done on purpose, and it's fucked up. Let me be clear. It's fucked up what they did, and their reasonings behind it was one of them. What you meant for bad turned to good for one group or the other. because how they got these people hooked and how they did it is fucked up. It's really fucked up. But because it affected a group of people, you can even look at this new shot that you give kids. Jerry, your kid is probably older and didn't go through this because I know I didn't go through this. Um, I don't know how old your kids are, but I didn't personally go through this, but I gave my children the shot, that papilloma thing, that the Gardasil shot that you want to give your kids before they start having sex, and you started like 13 or something like that, but you got to catch them before they start having sex, because what you don't want is for them to catch it, because that shit is everywhere, right? So as long as it was affecting women, and women was getting cervical cancer from it and having all kinds of issues and getting gutted out early in their life, like a woman at 30 should not have no total hysterectomy, not alone 24. But women have been gutted out because of this shit. And guess what? As long as it affected women, there was no urgency. But you know, soon as it started affecting everybody, and especially men, oh, it's an urgency now. We coming up with a vaccine. We got to make sure, and that is this country's way. So it's
And
not
I
your fault,
disagree.
Jerry. It's not our fault. It's the culture's way. And so
Well, I
when we hear
disagree.
those buzzwords, I don't know how you disagree.
Well, I
I
could
do.
explain it to you, but I probably
Go ahead.
couldn't convince you, but I could
I'm a
explain to you.
woman. I'm a woman. I know the inside, but go ahead, Jerry. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, the HPV virus, in particular, that just became a problem. That affects men too, with throat cancers and all kinds of problems. But it wasn't realized, like many diseases, how widespread it was. And then once it was realized, they came with a vaccine.
It
I
was
don't.
widespread 30 years ago. When I was
Yeah.
in my 20s, early 20s, it was an epidemic then. All women, I mean, I can't speak to the talks that y'all get behind closed doors with your doctors, but I can tell you how they come at women. You know, it's not the same. It was epidemic then, and they was giving us tutelage and counseling us and pamphlets and talking about it, and women had all various, it's so many levels to that damn HPV, and it was bad then. But when it showed itself to be bad for all, meaning men and women, did it become urgency?
Well, those women that you're talking about are the wives, mothers, daughters, nieces of the men that you are claiming had some type of racial or sexual agenda to not move on it. You're talking about their mothers and their wives and their daughters. It doesn't
it's
make
it's
sense,
it's, it's the culture, Jerry. You don't want to see it like that, but it's the culture. when
and
it
that
was
doesn't
just
wrap it up
when
for
it
me.
was just women, wasn't a big deal. Fuck I mean,
Okay.
a woman can think, fuck the women. But when they showed that it can hurt men, and men can get cancer in their throat, and shit like that, because you know what they doing, and God forbid it hurt y'all nether regions. It became important. It became more important. Now we give these vaccinations to little boys and girls. So we don't want the boys to catch it, because the boys just gonna spread it to the girls. We don't want the girls to catch it because they gonna just spread it to the boys, and it can hurt both. But back then, 30 some years ago, it was just hurting women, and it was
So,
big.
so you're saying that the world is ruled by men and they don't care about their mothers and
I'm
their daughters.
No, I'm saying that people only care about who they care about, and that's human
Well, we're
nature.
talking about mothers and daughters. We're talking about women.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
as long as it didn't affect, let me tell you, anything that affect women down there is no,
affect men.
not too many men are that concerned. But if it affect men like it affect women, it's gonna be a more sense of urgency. We can look at HIV. As long as the gays were getting it, nobody gave a fuck. As soon as that shit started crossing the line to the heterosexuals, oh, and then it became important. People like Elizabeth Taylor and all kinds of folks try to push the urgency of that shit way back then. We lived through that, Jerry. One minute
Well,
we never
anything that
heard of
affects
AIDS, and
women,
then next
any
minute, huh?
anything that affects women down there affects men. And as well known with any venereal disease, that's how men catch venereal disease and vice versa. Um, I mean, we can debate that more if you like, but I don't really see the point in it.
I understand why a lot of guys wouldn't see it the way a lot of women see it. I understand
Because,
that,
like
Jerry.
I say, that's their mothers and their daughters that you're talking
But
about.
Jerry, that doesn't mean it don't happen. Just like what I said about the drugs.
That's
They
a
throw them in
that's a
jail, but now it's no, we got to send them to get help, and it's not a jailable thing. What's the difference?
right. Well, here in
What's the
Baltimore
difference?
City, where I live, they don't prosecute a drug dealing on the streets or anywhere like that. The drug dealers have it's all victimhood. It's all, and that includes Baltimore City, which has a lot of black drug dealers, quite frankly. But they don't prosecute those crimes because drug addiction is treated, rightfully so, in my opinion, as a disease. Because I truly believe that's what it is. But for years,
Today,
huh?
Hey
today
Jerry,
it does.
Jerry, are you
Yeah.
saying they don't prosecute people who are on drugs in Baltimore?
No, not drug dealing.
The
They don't
dealers,
prosecute.
the dealers, they
They
don't
don't
send them to
prosecute
jail.
drug dealers.
No.
Yeah. What they do with them?
Yeah, for real.
I don't know if you know anything about Baltimore and its crime statistics, but they got what they call what they call quality of life crimes. And no, they don't. I mean, in fact, we got tons of violent crime committers in this city that don't get prosecution. It's a huge, huge problem here in Baltimore. Baltimore, I mean, I'm sure, I don't know what state you live in, but
Well,
you've had to have heard.
I will say this, Jerry. I used to live in Baltimore. Matter of fact, I graduated high school out of Baltimore, and I could 100% promise you they prosecuting drug dealers and everything else in the city.
If they
Yeah,
catching
well,
them,
I would encourage you to take a look at the Bureau of Crime Statistics for Baltimore City and then come back and tell me the same thing because
I'm just letting you know. I mean, I don't know what it is today because, of
because I
course,
still
I
live
don't live
here,
in Baltimore today. But what I'm telling you is that
but I do.
okay, but I still go to Baltimore a lot. You know what I'm saying? I still got family down there, so I'm just letting you know that I know for a fact they do prosecute. I don't know why would they change it up all of a sudden now. You know that doesn't even make any sense.
The
Now,
reason why is
are
because
you
we
from the
got so
Baltimore
much
city?
violent crime that the low-level drug dealing that happens on the street corners is considered a quality of life crime, and it's not prosecuted because there's prisons are overrun right now, and
okay.
we got violent crime committers that aren't even being prosecuted to what they should be.
Hey, Jerry,
And
do you live in Baltimore City?
I live 15 minutes from the city.
Okay, see, I grew up actually in the city. I
Yeah,
actually
and I did too. Gwen Falls.
okay.
So I think what Jerry is saying is because the prisons that they have available to them as Baltimoreans, right, where they send those criminals to prison is overran. So I think they're 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 um they're capping off. Sounds like Jerry. Correct me if I'm wrong. The level of the criminals. Like if you're a low level dealer and you got a little bit on you, but you're not considered a kingpin or somebody who carrying weight, they might not feel like they're gonna say quality of life. But if you're a person who's a big time drug dealer, you carrying weight, they gotta prosecute you.
Well,
So
I would imagine if a kingpin type of charge, I mean, I would like to believe, but I just seen on the news a couple of weeks ago they caught a guy at yeah, well, he had 8 pounds of marijuana, which that to me is not a drug, but he had 8 pounds of it, and he had the fentanyl. You know, he had a whole bunch of drugs in the trunk of his car, and they showed the prosecution, and basically the guy, he basically got. I mean, we got a horrible, probably the worst in the country here, right in this little city, Baltimore. Now, not that long ago, Baltimore had 1.2 million people. It was a thriving metropolitan area. It's a shipment city, so it's got a dock, and there's a lot going on down there. Right now, there's about 530,000 people with over 320 homicides annually, and this year it's on record pace. It's a sad, sad, sad thing to see. And I know firsthand because I grew up, just outside of the city in Gwynn Falls, Gwynn Oak area, and I grew up right outside of Baltimore City, and it's very dangerous to go down there right now. We got a squeegee kid problem.
Shit, it was dangerous back then. Remember, y'all familiar
Yeah,
with the Baltimore Washington Parkway, the BWI Parkway?
of
Y'all remember?
course, of course.
Yeah.
Shit, I got off on that shit, and it's the last stop on the BWI if you coming through DC and all the way up there. And I missed my Bowie exit and got
Here's a
off,
good example.
and it was scared
Uh,
for my life. I thought I was in the wire, but go ahead, Jared.
Baltimore City has a horrible, horrible handgun violence problem.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get caught carrying an illegal handgun in Baltimore City, it's a misdemeanor. Can you imagine this? It's a misdemeanor to get caught with an illegal handgun when there's over 320 homicides a year. Not to mention all the shootings, because that is triples that number. People that
Well,
get shot, but they don't die.
what it
Um,
sound like is they don't have nowhere to put these guys because you can't put a person who did a misdemeanor in federal prison. Federal prison is for federal criminals, and so Baltimore, I hate to say it, if they have built like it for some unknown reason, if they wind up getting like 5 big ginormous big ass prisons, I guarantee y'all that shit would change. So it just sounds like a money issue. They don't have nowhere to put these guys, so they gotta relegate who they gonna lock up to the more hardened criminals of the group. And I don't think that's gonna be a forever thing, Jerry. But the point was overall what Bo was saying, and kind of like what I'm saying too. Whenever we talk about things that we see that's not fair, it don't mean nobody ever talks in absolute. I think Bo would agree with me. We're not talking in absolute. For every bad thing that can be done to a group of black people, they're doing it to white folks too. We understand that. What we're saying is when you start moving things on a higher level, like the drug thing, now it's a disease. Now we got to treat it different. It ain't the old adage of lock them motherfuckers up. They ain't no good. Fuck them motherfuckers like they did in the crack epidemic. Mind you, when you talk about the Harlem Renaissance of early part of the 20th century, drugs was a problem then. Drugs has always been a problem. Drugs have took people out here way before their time. It has always been a major, major problem and caused devastation. None of that has changed. What has changed is how they treat drug addicts, namely the hardened drugs like opioids and heroin and stuff like that. Why? Why did you change? We would love to have seen you change in the 20th century, the early part. We would have loved to have seen you change in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. What changed? Oh, let me guess. Is one group is affecting the worst. This is why people say that, Jerry, not to be racial or anything like that. But what you gotta ask what changed? Why are you
well,
changing it
what
now?
group? You just told me that it was black folks that were affected the worst by the crack epidemic.
Yeah, and the answer was lock them up, throw away the key, fuck them. All the bad stuff came at you when you was on crack. Even
But
a
that
low
didn't that
level,
that, that didn't
even a
apply to
low
white folks.
level addict. But no, when it
Mm-hmm.
became an opioid addiction, no,
No, but
it's a
hold up. But
disease.
that crack
It's
epidemic didn't affect white folks. You never seen a white
but
crackhead?
see, but Jerry, you're saying that. I'm not ever saying that. I know for a fact that white folks, Indians, Latinos, blacks, you name it, they were all
You
on
got
crack.
kids out here in the suburbs that got addicted to crack cocaine
Mm-hmm.
coming from middle class neighborhoods. I
Mm-hmm.
grew up with them. It had definitely
Mm-hmm.
affected white people. The reason that the people got put in jail is a simple reason, whether they were white or black. There was a 3-strike rule. If you got caught dealing drugs 3 times,
Yeah.
then you got
We're
hit.
not
And it didn't.
we're not talking about putting in jail. So
Jerry, see what you understand, Jerry, too, is for the same crime. You do realize this is a fact. Black people get more time for the exact same crime in the exact same place throughout the whole United States. You both white person and black person could be on drugs, and I guarantee you that black person will get way more time for just being on drugs, just like the white person.
Well, the reason for that is 9 times out of 10, the black person has prior convictions.
And the white person,
that's not necessarily true.
Because it is true.
That is not absolutely true, Jerry. It's not
Okay.
like that. Okay,
well,
think about that.
Think
about that white guy who got off because when he raped the girl and they proved that he raped the white girl, this white young guy, and he got off. Now, where they do that at? Rape is rape. I thought you get convicted, but he was affluent. I think that was the reasoning they gave it. Meaning he was rich, he ain't know no better.
Yeah. Okay, got guilty of raping 80 women, and he got let go. Who? You can always make an exception. You can always find an exception here or there. But one thing that folks leave out when they talk about that misleading statistic, what they say that black people are punished more harshly, they don't go any further into detail that they often times have records.
Jerry,
and that's why
white people often have records too, and they still get less time. And as a matter of fact, this Jerry, you can't deny facts. This is a study.
Well, how can you tell me that what you're saying is true emphatically?
Because
and what
there's been a study on it, Jerry. It's been a study on it. They're not just going to pull a study out their ass. You know, they do a study.
Is it?
Say again.
He said, "Where is it?"
Yeah, where is it?
What do you mean, where is it?
You have to Google and search for it, Jerry. They got studies. But I would say this, Jerry. I would say this. Think of what state, let me ask you this. What state has more white people in it than blacks? Which one of the states, the 50 states, has that?
Probably every one.
No, just pick a state that's predominantly, and I mean predominantly white.
Oh, hell, I don't know.
And I guarantee
we say Utah.
Yeah, let's say Utah or Idaho or something like that.
Yeah.
I guarantee you go to that state that's predominantly, and I mean like the ratio probably be like, and I'm guessing here, Jerry, but like
0.2% black folks.
Yeah. Or even 95% white, maybe 3% black. Then go look at their jails. Now, this is a study done too, Jerry. If you want to find it, you can find them. But you go to the jail and you say, okay, let's do a population, percentage. The jail is 97% black and 3% white, or 95% black and 5% white. So you mean to tell me out of that 5% black that's in that whole state, damn near every last one of them is criminals and the white people are not? They got studies to show that too, Jerry.
I guess what you mean to say is that they don't lock up the white criminals to protect the people, but they just imprison black people no matter what.
What we saying, Jerry, is I know it's an uncomfortable reality.
There's no reality.
Hold on. I know it's an uncomfortable reality. And none of us, not you, not me, not Bo, want it to be a factor. But it is a factor that there is unfavorable things happen to people just because the color of their skin. And sometimes it's adverse things, and sometimes it's things you can get over. Going back to the drug thing again, I'm not talking just about the lockup part of it. I'm talking about the approach from the policy makers, the law officials, the people of authority have changed when it comes to opioid addiction. Opioid addiction is no different from crack addiction, heroin addiction, cocaine addiction, which been around the whole 20th century, since most of us was born in the 20th century. It's the same. But the policies and how you handle it has changed. So a person can realistically ask the question, well, what changed? If they the same and same results come out of addiction, you can't trust. You got a person on crack in a white family, their family gonna feel like, we can't trust this motherfucker. You can't trust a crackhead. You can't trust a heroin addict. You can't trust an opioid addict. You can't trust an addict. They're not themselves. They're in a weakened state. So it's the same. And they cause devastation the same. They fuck up money, they steal, they may hurt people the same. But why change now? We would love to have you have that same approach when it was crack or heroin or anything back in the 20th century. Why change now? What made you have an epiphany and change? The only difference is the group of people who are afflicted by it the most, they ain't white. So you have
Okay,
people can ask
okay.
that
I mean, if
question,
you want to
Jared.
believe that, you can believe that. But I keep telling you, white people were affected by crack. Also, heroin. I got 3 cousins that are dead and in the ground right now that grew up in the suburbs because black folks from the city came out and dealt heroin in the counties that they were in. And I don't blame them necessarily because they were going where the money was because the kids in the suburbs was buying the heroin. Like my cousin, that's the same age as me, who died from a heroin overdose 10 years ago. Uh, those drugs affect white people just as much.
I
And,
agree.
and,
I
and,
agree. So
and
tell
plenty
me,
of black folks got
get
addicted
past
to
that.
opioids.
Get
Plenty
past
of
that,
black
Jared.
folks,
We agree right there.
well,
Get
plenty of
past
black
that.
folks got addicted to opioids. What's changed is this: the
What changed?
mindset, the mindset that people had regarding drug addicts years ago, especially during the crack epidemic and prior to that, was that they were criminals. But as a society, we've evolved past that. Like homosexuality was there was a real stigma attached to being a homosexual at one time, not all that long ago. That's no longer in place here in the United States. We're growing as a country and as a people, we're evolving, and people have realized because of their own daughters and sons and relatives becoming addicts, they realize that it's not a criminal thing. It's a disease. It's a disease. And so the policies have reflected that, even to the point where in some places, well, pot has been made legal in several states, but I don't really like to include pot because I smoke pot myself and I never thought it was a harmful drug like that. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, but
yeah, Jared. I got you. I got you, Jared. Yeah. Me too,
yeah,
Jared.
but,
Go ahead.
but when you're talking heroin and crack and cocaine and stuff like that, um, yeah, lots of people have realized that their son or daughter, black or white, that never got in any trouble, never stole from their parents or nothing, they somehow got mixed up on that shit. And next thing you know, the girl's going in her mama's purse, taking money and whatnot. And I'll tell you the truth, I'd love to have a political discussion with you on all these topics, and we're going to disagree on a great number of things. But
This the day to do it, Jared. This free Friday. But again, let me
what,
ask you.
no, but I
No,
wanted to
no.
talk a little bit about what
Hey, hold on. Before you move on, Jared, let me ask you this one question, and I'm gonna let you go. The opioid addiction, we know that's bad in the country right now. Everybody knows that. What group of people is it affecting the worst?
Well, it's easy to say white folks because white folks are 75% of the country,
Jerry,
but
Jerry,
plenty of black
Jerry,
folks take opioids
Jerry,
too.
Jerry. I did not say. So we clear, Jerry. I didn't say every other race is not hooked on opioid. I asked you a simple question, like crack overwhelmingly affected the black communities. We can say that without it being a racial uproar or anything, because that is a fact. So I'm asking you for this fact. What group of people in the United States is opioid affecting worse?
The group that makes up 75% of the United
There
States,
you have it.
white people.
Now, since the policy has changed, it has changed with the opioid epidemic. That's when the
No, it
policy
changed.
has changed. No, Jerry, it
It
has
changed with
changed.
heroin too.
No, they changed with this new opioid epidemic. Heroin is opioids. So it
Well,
has, but heroin been around forever. Heroin is an opioid, but since this is only recently, in these last 15 or so years, has this policy changed about how we treat addicts to drugs. And it's the opioid epidemic which speared that on. Am I lying?
That and heroin, because heroin became a big problem in the suburbs.
Heroin has always been a problem, even in the black community during the Harlem Renaissance, big time.
But I'm making your
But
point.
I'm
Once it
just,
became a problem in the suburbs, that's when the mindset
so
became these people aren't criminals; they're our kids, and
that's a new
they're
thing, right,
addicts.
Jerry? That's a new thing, right? And it came with the opioid
But
epidemic.
yeah, I would say about the last 15 years or so.
Okay, that's the whole point we saying. This is why I'm just trying to explain to you and let you see why some people draw the conclusions that they draw. It wasn't a problem. We couldn't have this epiphany and this grandiose thought pattern, which is a good thing, Jerry. I agree with them. I'm liking it, the direction that they're going through, but that could never have happened when it was just a crack epidemic or just in the urban city or just, in our opinion, when it was a black problem. Never, that policy never entered the thought of anybody's mind. Once it became opioid problem, which affect, and we can sit back and say, well, what changed? That's what people do, Jared. They ask, well, why
So
you
15
changing?
years ago, there was no drug rehabs. Is that what you're trying to tell me? Because I
No,
know better
no,
than that.
no. There was always drug rehabs, but you know, and I know the answer was lock them up. You know
Yeah,
that.
yeah. For the longest
Lock them
time,
up and
that's what it
throw them in the
has been.
street. And
Yeah.
now it's not like that, which is a good thing, y'all. That's a good thing. But that won't stop nobody from saying, well, why you change it up? Even with education. Education, we have said, I know this for a fact, Jerry, because I have family members, sprouting this, and they was professionals, like they work at the city council and this, that, and the other in my lifetime. And when I was very young as a kid, they always used to say, well, those tests that they give people every year is not a true measurement of intelligence. Nobody was trying to hear them. Now, who that somebody is, whoever the powers that be, they were not trying to hear that. Then what happened? The Asians came in, they started scoring the highest on the test. Nobody moved the needle that much. But now, Jerry, you got people from the country, India or other places outside this country, or Indians born in this country. They washing everybody. They beating blacks, whites, Asians, Latinos. They killing it as a group on these tests. And you know what they did? Oh, the test is not an accurate measurement of intelligence. We need to change up everything. And so when people see this, Jared, they be like, what changed? Why you changed? When I was telling you this 50, 60 years ago, I was falling on deaf ears. But now our ears are open. What changed? This is why people say what they say, Jared. That's all I was trying to get you.
Yeah, well, regarding change, change is a product of any evolving society. Any society. If you look over in England, their democracy is 300 years older than the United States, and they have far more progressive policy. Change is a product of evolving society, whether it's white, black, Indian, Asian, doesn't matter. We once believed in the world that slavery was a right thing to do, and look how far countries around the world have evolved from that. That is a product of, homosexuality is a good example. When I was coming up not that long ago, 35 years ago, was a tremendous stigma involved in being a homosexual. And nowadays it's just not. I mean, I'm not saying it's not doesn't exist at all entirely. Of course, I wouldn't say that, but it's not nothing like what it was. Nothing even close. And why is that? Because people started realizing that it's their brother who's a homosexual, someone they love and know. They come to realize that it's their sister that they love as a homosexual. I got homosexuals in my family, and like we all do. And so we start to realize these people were treated unfairly, for putting that stigma on them. And man, if you can't grow and learn and understand, then where would we be? We'd be an archaic society. But I wanted to say though, before I get regarding your other caller's point, is I don't know if you heard, but the news today in boxing is that Bud Crawford was offered a 3-fight deal. Did you hear about that?
I kind of heard about it, but I think Bo know more about it. Bo, what you want to talk about that? Bo, Bo. Let me get this chat. C said, "Remember the chicken pox? Everybody used to get that shit as a kid." Yeah. Um, I heard that, but you know the mantra I stand on, Jerry, is if it don't come out of Bud's mouth or if it don't come out of Spence' mouth, I have to take everything with a grain of salt. They may be offering, they may. I can't tell you whether they did or didn't, but like Bo has said, um, I can understand a 2 fight deal, and the only reason I say that is them fights better be Earl Spence followed by Jermell Charlo, because that's what Bud said he wanted. But I can't understand, if he's not a hot ticket item for the PBC and he's a low value earner as far as they concerned, then why are you trying to sign him? I don't get that. That I don't get.
Well, I get it because I mean, listen, if he should beat Earl Spence and Jermell Charlo, then he got all the belts. And he going to walk away with all the straps that the PBC. They probably going to want at least one more attempt to try to maintain control of those straps. Plus, from an
But he's a
economic
low earner.
standpoint,
He's a low earner though, Jerry.
yeah, but I mean, you got to figure if he beats both of those guys, his earning potential should go up. It definitely should go up if he could beat both of those guys. That would make him a 3 division undisputed champ. That's never been close to happen in the history of boxing. A 3 division undisputed champ. So you gotta
I
think
don't
that
even
at
think
that
it
point,
was a two. It's never been a two, have it?
yeah, well,
Undisputed,
I
except
don't know.
Clarissa, except Clarissa Shields.
Carissa Shields. Uh, I don't know. There may have been a two, but maybe not. So that makes it even that much more impressive. And typically, fight deals, multi-fight deals are usually at least 3 fights. Rarely have I seen them be just 2 fights. Now I'm sure that's probably happened, but from what I heard, there was 14 million though. And the guy that was commenting on it today on the other show, he was saying that but that's still a low ball offer, and probably it is.
That
So,
is that is a low ball offer. You basically
yeah,
saying 5 million for each fight, and that's low ball. Like there's no reason to do this, man, like that. Well, if you win the undisputed, then your star really gonna rise. Well, motherfucker, he already did that, and it didn't rise. As far as y'all concerned, y'all
but I'm pretty
disregard.
sure.
Not you, Jerry, but PBC. As far as they concerned, being undisputed once don't mean shit to them. And that's what you got in a Bud Crawford, an undisputed fighter. He has become undisputed once. It ain't like if he did it once, he could do it again. But that don't mean nothing to them. That don't elevate his earning potential to them. You can say they going by the numbers of this, that, and the other, but they know that he can be a great earner and this, that, and the other. They also know you don't want to, like, to me, Jerry, it just comes off like, let me stifle you. This is when I be saying they do what they want to do or bite their nose off to spite their face. I'ma still get some money, but I'm gonna get you for the low. Cause I don't never want to have to pay you like we'll pay Canelo. Now Canelo, you can't pay this dude less. He has become undisputed. That should mean the same for everybody, for Jermell, for Bud, for anybody who's becomes undisputed in the 2000s or whatever, or recently. You should have to pay these motherfuckers. But hey, life can show you that it don't always work that way. So why would Bud? I just look at it like, why would Bud want to do it? And they was like, well, you need to be like what's his name, Devin Haney. Why? Devin Haney didn't
Well, it's
never.
not just Devin Haney. Lots of fighters have done what Devin Haney did. Mayweather did it also. That's sometimes what has to happen. But I'm pretty sure that 14.6 million is guaranteed purses. Doesn't include the back end, which could potentially be twice as much money.
Are you
And
saying
if
for
not,
each fight, or are you saying just one for
no,
all of
no,
them?
no, for 3.
Oh
But
fuck
so that
that.
averages out to like $4.5 million a fight or something like that.
Fuck
And
that.
and the back end, but you can't discount the back end because oftentimes that's more money than what the guaranteed money is. So if he
Jared,
was to get 4.5, let me finish. If he was to get 4.5 guaranteed, and let's say he gets 7 to 10 million on the back end, now you're looking at 14 or 15 million dollars. And that's a different ball game,
but
you
they can
know.
do
But
that, but
Hey
don't
Jerry,
you?
who gets more money on the back end than guarantees? I never heard of that one.
oh yeah, I mean, what it comes down to is how well the fight sells, right? If the fight sells big, then it's a lot of money that goes around. I mean, if you never heard Mayweather talk about the back end money on the pay-per-views that he did, um, guess
You, you,
what? Guess
you ever
where he
seen
got most of his
you ever
money? He
seen
got most
Floyd?
of his money off of that pay-per-view.
Right, but Floyd Mayweather always make more money on guarantees than he do back ends. That's a fact. Like he'll tell you right then and there. Even in that Manny Pacquiao fight, the night he won the fight, he flaunted his check, his guaranteed money. He ain't
Yeah,
And
even
how
like
much
that
was
check.
how much was the check for?
Over $100 million.
yeah.
The check was for $100 million.
It was
They
over
showed it.
that. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
showed the check. Now, how much money did Mayweather said he made fighting Manny Pacquiao? I've heard him say several times he made over $300 million
Yeah.
fighting Manny Pacquiao. The
Yeah.
guaranteed check was $100 million. So you tell me.
Jared, hold on, Jared. Mayweather also that I've been to his fight when he fought Pacquiao. When you walk into the MGM, they got a store right there to the left. I'm talking about the front door. That whole store was stocked with Mayweather gear. That shit was sold out in a day or two, like gone. There was nothing left. And I
Well,
mean,
that's
they
cool.
had. Hold on, Jared. Hold on. So he gonna get a cut of that. He gonna have the endorsements he have, like you always talk about. When you tally, nobody knows or can quantify or qualify what the final tally is because that's ongoing and that's a projected price. What Bold is saying that in Mayweather's case, and maybe in Canelo's case, some fighters' case, that guarantee sometimes can be way more than with the back end because if you saying the back end all inclusive or you saying back end just pay per view. Are you? Now I'm gonna give you a chance.
Well,
Like, which one are you talking about?
I'm talking primarily about the pay-per-view. If you look at Canelo's last fight, I heard Eddie Hearn say out of his own mouth, Canelo Alvarez got $42 million to fight Bivol, but he got an $8 million guarantee. uh, Floyd Mayweather showed the check that night. He got $100 million. He's said repeatedly that he made $300 million fighting Manny Pacquiao. The pay-per-view sales were record-breaking, and my point is this: that pay-per-view back in money is a big deal. It's just most companies don't do it like that anymore. They don't rely on pay-per-view, but PBC does. So what I can see that what they're trying to do there is they're saying, look, we're going to take the risk to finance the fight. We're not going to be able to pay you guaranteed money of $12 million, but we'll pay you 4 or 5 million guaranteed. And I think I don't know what Spencer's getting, but that's what they were trying to offer with a percentage of the pay per view, and that's where the fighters and their camp accept a little risk also. So the risk isn't just on the promoters; it's also up to the fighters to a degree to sell the fight, and if the fight sells well, everybody profits huge.
But hold
I think-
on, but not in a deal like that because arguably you can say Spence fighting somebody else or Bud fighting somebody else and get what their normal guarantees was and based off the pay-per-view tally, just to pay. I'm not talking about endorsements and all that other shit because they don't ever show us that shit. I'm talking about just the pay-per-view. You can arguably say that they would get close to or at least over 10 million to 12 or 15 just on the back end from the pay-per-view. All to when you add up the pay-per-view split that they get plus their guarantee, you add it all together, they hitting for about between 12 and 15 million. They wanted this is how disrespectful if this shit is true. This is how disrespectful these motherfuckers are to Bud Crawford. For 3 fights, you want to give this dude 14 million guarantee total? You can do better than that. And it's not, it's to me, I don't understand. I've said for for almost a year now, or maybe months. I don't even understand how PBC don't even guarantee Spence at least 10 million a fight. And he's their big guy or close to it. I cannot for the life of me understand this 1.5, 2 million bullshit. But now you gonna come at Crawford, who has accomplished so much in his career. But you know the narrative, because they don't want Crawford to be considered as better than Spence. So they want to say, "Oh, that's that other stuff that's in the past. We only talk about at 147." Well, when we look at fighters, we look at the totality of the fighter. Hell, a Hall of Fame ain't much of Terrence Crawford to cast his hands. We know he going there. So I'm just saying, you gonna offer this man 14 million, and is there anybody? Because I don't know if you feel this way, Jared, but do anybody think that that's reasonable or fair or right for 3 fights? You don't think he lowballing him? And I gotta ask, why in the fuck, with all these accolades that this guy has had, why would you lowball him like that? Why? I gotta ask.
Well, one regarding accolades, they don't really mean shit in boxing when it comes to the money. They mean something when it comes to the Hall of Fame and things like that. But I can give you several examples. You can look at Lomachenko. He's a 3-weight division champion, a 2-time Olympic gold medalist, but he gets about $2 million a fight. And his accolades are his accolades, and it's something for him to be proud of. But it didn't raise his profile any. And look at Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor was an undisputed champion, and he didn't become that in one fight. He had to actually fight the champions to become that. But he's no big star, not even close to a big star. And as much as I like Bud, his accomplishments below 147 haven't really raised his brand that much.
Because that's what people want it to be. That ain't because it can't be, because y'all don't say the same thing for Canelo.
Well, the thing is, again, and the reality is you can't compare Canelo to Bud Crawford. Bud Crawford, regardless of his accomplishments, I don't think he's ever had a pay-per-view over 150,000 units. Canelo just fought a foreigner with 15 fights and sold 550,000 pay-per-view in a down pay-per-view era. So we can't sit here and put Crawford and Canelo in the same sentence when it comes to the money.
We can when we saying we're talking about them. Part of Canelo's success is the great reviews and talks about that people when they talk about him. If they talked about him like a dog and shitted on him every time they mention his name, he wouldn't be at the level he is. That's a fact. And we know that's a fact. If every time somebody, whether it was a YouTube content creator or somebody in media, talked about Canelo like a damn dog and told him that he was a piece of shit and we shouldn't like him, no matter what he did, it don't matter. Guess what? He wouldn't be commanding the level of stuff he commands right now. He wouldn't be at this level. The reason why he's at this level, 1, he did what he had to do in the ring. 2, they talk favorably about him all the time. Jared dropped out. But that's what it is, yo. That's what it is. If they'd talked about him like they do Bud and put him on the app like they did Bud, where would Canelo be today? That's an honest question. C said PBC will have a clause in the contract if Bud wins that he will have to vacate the belts so they can keep control. Al ain't dumb. You know, it's like, whose career is it? That's what I agree, C. Whose career is it? Go ahead, Bo.
And not to mention, like Canelo, when Canelo was fighting on the app without the pay-per-views, he wasn't getting that, that money like that. Anyway, even though like the events were sold out and whatnot, he still wasn't getting that money like that until he signed that new contract deal. And then he broke away from De La Hoya. That's when his stock pretty much went way up because he went independent. But yeah, going back to when I was talking about with Jerry, see in the article they said the total purse of the whole fight really for that Manny Pacquiao Floyd Mayweather was $300 million, which, pretty much damn near 200 million guaranteed went to Floyd Mayweather, and whatever he got on the back end might have made up, the extra money. Because that's what I was saying. Like in these events, I don't know. Maybe for like people like like a Floyd, Canelo, Anthony Joshua, or somebody, maybe they might have a chance to get a guarantee. I mean, a back end higher than the guarantee, but that doesn't really happen, because if they was going to make much more money on the back end, then these dudes will be a lot bigger stars as it is now. But a lot of people don't make that much money on the back end, and not to mention these promotional companies, they're gonna get they cut off of that. The the networks, they gonna get they cut off of that. And then everybody gonna get their cut off your back end before it gets
before
to you.
you get it. Before you get it, I broke them numbers down, and I always have this talk with Jerry, and I always say, and I respect Jerry's opinion. I always say, Jerry, they do what the fuck they want to. I understand it's a business, but people do some crazy shit that does not make sense business wise. I like what C's just said. He said, "What did Undisputed do for Jamel?" Jamel got a $10 million check for that fight, which he has never made that much, ever, because it was Undisputed. What did it do for Bud? Bud, got accolades. I'm not familiar with what Bud got paid for his, but he got accolades and stuff. He became Undisputed. It's about the opponent you face, period. That's what gives you the juice to become a star. To a certain degree, it should be just that. And most of the time, sees in the past, I would say it probably was that. But here nowadays, I'm thinking about who the hell Canelo. I can't even remember who he fought. Oh yeah, he fought Caleb Plant to become Undisputed. Caleb Plant ain't no big star like talking about it. We know of him. I like Caleb Plant.
I think
I like his swagger, but he ain't no big star. Who did he fight before that? I'm talking about who did
somebody
Canelo fight?
named Canelo fought.
Yeah, who did Canelo fight to get the belts to get him to the point where he was about to become Undisputed?
Well,
They
I know
made a
he
big
fought.
to
He
do.
fought. Well, he started off. He fought.
Was it Yildirim or
Callum Smith, and somehow they threw in a vacant WBC belt right on with that.
yeah.
And then he fought Billy Joe for the other belt, and then Caleb Plant.
Well, we know
So
that Benavidez had lost his belt, and then Canelo
yeah,
swept in and grabbed it. So he didn't fight no top tier fighters. I'm not knocking because I hate to put down anybody who step in the ring, but he didn't fight no top tier notable fighters to get the juice to become a star. But it was a big to do, and I ride with that because it is a big to do to become Undisputed. I give him his props. I won't shuck and jive or cut a jig or nothing when it comes to somebody achieving that. I don't care if people think that that fighter wasn't up to snuff anyway, and there was the luck of the draw. He did something that a lot of people have not done, and so I give Canelo his props. But again, my problem with boxing bowl is not keeping the same energy in my Earl Spence voice across the board. If you can look at Canelo and say, well, he's undisputed. He's a 4 division champion. He's a blah, blah, blah. So is Bud. If you wouldn't give Canelo no 3-fight deal for 14 million, don't do it to Bud. Because part of the reason you're giving them that money is the accolades and the totality of their career. Them being the shit. And the other part is their celebrityism. Go ahead, Bud. Oh.
yeah. I mean, mainly that's what it comes down. Is really the celebrity part. I remember when Floyd Mayweather fought Chop Chop Corley, and if you listen to like the commentating, Larry Merchant was coming out. He was saying how Floyd was wanting to be the best, fighter out there, you know what I'm saying, to get that money. And then Larry Merchant was like, he said, yeah, you could be number one, but to be honest with you, what's going to get you paid is putting butts in that seat. So even, he was saying, he was like, yeah, just because you're number one doesn't mean you're going to get that money like that. You just got to be able to sell yourself pretty much. It was in a, if you watch that Chop Cooley fight, like you hear the commentating part. That's what he was saying. He was explaining during that, and I was like, oh shit. And maybe that probably started. Mayweather probably just took some ideas like, well, shit, I gotta sell tickets.
Excellent point, Al Money. Look what he wrote, Bo. They won't even give Bud Caleb Plant money. There's no metrics to guide us on why Caleb Plant got 10 million. I ain't
Well, I
mad at
mean,
Caleb.
but at the end of the day, he fought Canelo Alvarez.
So did Bivol. And Bivol got 2.
Yeah, that is true. But they be doing Russians dirty over here. Like Russians, for some reason, they get done dirty. And also I think Bivol kind of like didn't really press the whole, I want this much money and that much money and stuff like Caleb
But
Plant
they
did.
shouldn't have even came at him like that. If you could give Caleb Plant $10 million, who is not a superstar, he's well known because people like his swagger. He's done some great things. He's made an achievement or two, but he is no pay-per-view star because he never been on pay-per-view. If
Correct,
you if you
but
looking at
Canelo,
it like Canelo, it's a lot of money that you paying Canelo. So I look at it like when I heard that he got 10 million, I chopped it up to the same reason why people get their biggest paydays when they fought Floyd. Cool. Then you get to Bivol, and then you lowball him. See, I got a problem with that too.
but that was his biggest payday too.
It should
Believe it
have
or
been
not.
bigger.
You're right.
You're
It
fighting
should be, but
Canelo.
I think the reason why maybe Caleb Plant got that much because for one he had the last belt to become undisputed, and I think Caleb Plant, like his management team and everything, you know, they push for a lot of money on that.
They worked it out, but the point is PBC allowed for Caleb to get that much money. Again, I'm not mad at it. It should be like that. That's why I
Right.
say stuff like Spence should get more than 1.5, 2 million. Come on, Spence. They slapping you in the face on this one. And he should get more. I rock for that. But when you're fighting the almighty Canelo, I'm not knocking or mad at the fact that he gets 40 and $50 million pay periods. Like really, his shit has jumped up to 50 and 4. I don't even remember Floyd, unless you're talking about certain fighters at the very end of his career getting anything close to that. Remember for the longest time, Floyd was getting 32, 33, $30 million fights, right?
Mhm.
That's how it was. So was Tyson. It wasn't until Floyd fought Conor McGregor, I want to say
Well, Pacquiao too.
Pacquiao,
Yeah.
people, specific people, did Floyd get a whole lot? And I might be wrong, but even when Floyd fought his last fight, which was Berto, I think he either got 40 million or less guaranteed on that fight.
But you
So
got to think too is maybe it got something to do with inflation, maybe around it.
no, I can't let that. I can't allow that
And
because
like, all right,
I you know why I can't allow it. I can allow it today, but if you come back tomorrow and it don't apply, then I can't never accept that. I that's what I'm saying. Those are after action reports that I look back in hindsight and be like, oh no, that was some bullshit. Because I can't see it currently as it's going down. So like
Mhm.
if you're gonna say inflation, I understand inflation, then I can rock with that. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's inflation. But the next fight, you're gonna tell me inflation ain't the problem. Inflation don't go away that quick. Just like we said about the streaming. I can
Yeah,
rock with that. I can truly rock with streaming being a problem and getting big and all that. But you're not gonna say that to Canelo? We don't care about the 15, $20 million he gonna lose. You telling me a business don't care about that? The business won't say even with him, hey, yo, we got I know you used to us paying you 50. So, we gotta account for inflation. So how about if we give you like 38, 37 instead of 50? Because
mhm.
people just gonna steal it anyway. They don't say that. But
Yeah,
like you said,
yeah.
you know what I'm
That's
saying?
crazy part. But they empowered Canelo.
Mhm.
They often they empowered them. Um,
Because they do what they want to do. And I broke
yeah,
down some numbers, Bo. I don't know if you caught that show where I broke down some numbers of the Caleb Plant fight and Canelo fight, and the total amount from the gate and the pay per view sales. I can't speak on shit that they don't share with us, like endorsements and other bullshit.
Yeah.
I can speak on what they share. They told us how many people bought the fight, 800,000. They told us how much the fight cost, $79. They told us how much they got at the gate, 18 to 20 million. I took the highest, 20 million. Then they told us with the 800 times 79, you could come up with 63 million. When you add 20 million to that, you get a total of 83 million. The total payout for Caleb Plant and Canelo was 81 million. If they said, well, T, where you get that from? Canelo got 40 million. Caleb Plant got 10 million. This was their guarantee. Then the 50 if you take 63 million, which is the total pay-per-view, buys, and you split that, like, because like you said, half of that going back to the promoters and investors. So the other half, you're going to split that 60-40. And when you do that, then Canelo walks away with an extra, I think it was 28 million or some crazy number. And then Caleb walked away with an extra 22 million. No, 18 million that Canelo walked away with an extra 18. And Caleb wound up getting a total of 22 million. I forgot his exact number, but I wrote that down somewhere. But when you add what Caleb Plant and Canelo took home, come out to about 81
So,
million.
so I thought Caleb took a flat fee. He didn't take a flat fee.
He had a percentage. I wrote it down. Let me find it. Because I actually did the math. And this is all stuff that I got off the web. This is not nothing that Miss T brought out her ass or anything. I know you don't think so, Bo. In case anybody listening right now, I didn't make this up. I Googled what was the numbers, and these are the numbers that they take back. I can't do no more than Google. Hold on. I'm looking now. Hold on. I know I wrote this shit. Because I went over this on somebody else's channel. And it was funny because I had just talked about this. I was like, damn. So when I be saying stuff like they do what they want to do, it ain't always about the bottom line. Because I don't see how that's a great bottom line to make a tally of 83 million just the pay-per-view in the gate, and then you paying out 81 million. I don't see how the fuck anybody would say that that's profitable. Damn, that's so I can't even find it. It's like, let's see. Oh, I think I'm running up on it now. Okay. All right. Okay. So, all right, here it is. This was July 26th. So, we know that Canelo got 40 million guarantee, right? We know that Caleb Plant got 10 million guarantee. That's what they had to pay before the first ding ding of the bell. And then we know that 800 subscriber people bought the fight. It's 800,000. We know that the fight cost 79. Is anybody in any disagreement with that? So if you take 800,000 times $79, you're gonna come up with $63,200,000 total. If you want to, that's pay-per-view earnings. So we know half of that is going back to those investors. How they split up that half, we don't know. I'm not even gonna get into how they split up the half, but we know half is going back.
They took that big ass chunk, and then taxes and promoters and managers and trainers.
IFE or whatever. And then 31,600,000 is left. If you divide 63 200,000 into half, you'll get 31. And these are not precise, but I'm ballparking it for you. So 31,600,000 is left. And so Canelo and Plant had a 60-40 split.
Oh, it was a 60-40?
Yeah, so 60% of 30.
So Caleb Plant managed to get 40% out of that? Holy shit. I thought they only gave him a flat fee. I didn't realize he got 40% on the back.
That was
Pay-per-view.
that was on Google too.
Oh,
Caleb
okay.
Plant got 40%. Canelo got 60%. And if you do 60% of 31,600,000, you'll come up to 18,960,000. If you add that with 40 million, you'll come up with 58,960,000. If you do a
Yep.
40% split of 31,600,000, you'll come up with 12,640,000. If you add that with 10 million, you'll come up with a total of 22,640,000. And if you take that number and add what Canelo got, 58,960, you come up with 81,600,000. But now going back to the pay-per-view tally, if the pay-per-view tally, which was 800,000 times $79, which came out to 63,200,000, then you take the gate, which they said the gate was 18 to 20. I took the 20, I took the higher number. And so that come out with 83,200,000. Now, 81,600,000, which was the total of the earnings of Canelo and Plant. Now, in the total period gain was 83,200,000. You subtract that, what you got? 1.6 million. Please tell me how that's a worthwhile game. It's a game, but please tell me how that's so profitable. And Jerry makes the point, and others make the point that you got endorsements and all this other bullshit. Yeah, and if they want to ever get to the point where they share that, we can factor that shit in. But I'm just saying, just looking at that number,
Or could
where
that
is
already been? Could that already have been factored in those prices? I mean, that money that they made.
I didn't even factor the endorsements or whatever because I don't know. I can
No,
only
no. I'm
go
saying,
by
I'm saying, I'm saying. Do you think the endorsements was factored into that? Maybe the
with
guarantee
their
part.
bottom line. I
Yeah,
think in the end of the day, Jerry's right when he say, but they got endorsements and they got all this other stuff. When they tally up everything that they made, which again they're not gonna find out right after the bell rings when the fight is over. That's gonna be days, weeks, months coming. All that money trickle in and this, that, and the other.
yeah,
They may have got an endorsement of 50 million total. So they putting that in the coffers. But the endorsement could be just going to the fighter or it could be going to PBC. Again, the
because
fighter
sometimes,
and PBC ain't gonna tell us this.
yeah, because sometimes when it comes to endorsements, sometimes you get your endorsement deal like right up front. You
Yeah,
get your
all of
endorsement
that's
money right up front.
preliminary.
Yeah,
That's the point. All of that's like Canelo repping Tecate. Remember he was doing that for a minute and all them damn commercials. You think that money went to PBC or did it go to Canelo? You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
for the fighters, it's all to the good. For PBC, you can't, whatever. PBC got endorsements on his ring. Okay, cool, that's fine. So maybe to PBC. So basically, if you look at it like that, the PBC and Top Rank and Golden Boy, they really only make money off of endorsements. That's it. They don't make money off of putting the fight on or doing anything. That might explain why they don't give a fuck about the fans. You know what I'm saying? But if you want to give us a business model and you're talking about business, we can only go by the stuff that they're giving. I can't pontificate about an endorsement that nobody shows us the contract. I'm nobody for them to show me the contract and the details of the contract and where that money went as far as endorsement. As far as merchandise, you got to cut whoever is holding your merchandise and doing those sales. But the merchandise goes to the person whose merchandise it is. So in Floyd Mayweather's case, when I bought a hat and socks and a shirt and a poster, that went to Floyd. Minus with that store that held his gear got their cut. But the bulk of the money went to Floyd because that's his merch. It didn't go to PBC. It went to that store in MGM and Floyd. So, I mean, again, these are their personal business. They don't have to show us the details of that contract. I won't know if it's to the fighter or to the promotional company or the manager. All I know is what the manager and the promoter can get in on, and that's pay per view, that's gate sales. They can get on there. I know what they got to put up front. They got to advance in escrow, to guarantee. Because we're not gonna say take my word for it. I'm gonna give both of y'all this. Don't they got to put it in escrow before the fight? So see what I'm saying? Jared said the guaranteed check was 100 million. They showed it on the airing. And like I
Well,
said,
I mean,
Undisputed is a great nugget on your career, but it's about the opponent you beat. Okay. And of course they do, but never do they want to lose money. And then Canelo a star and a carrying cash cow because he has a country behind him. Please stop saying that because you make the country look bad. I wish people would stop saying that. I can't
yeah, I
make
was
them.
I was gonna say that
There's
too
plenty of
because
negative
because
press.
because they act like we ain't got a country behind us.
He got a country behind him. How many people in this country? 1,000?
And the crazy part about it, most of the Canelo fans are actually probably in the U.S. because I know he,
Exactly.
he he catch a lot of criticism from his own country, man.
The pay per view is coming from people who got cable in the U.S. That's
Yeah.
500,000 Americans. Where the country at? He got a whole country. They got like 10,000 people in that country. Because I'm sure there'll be some Mexicans that show up to the fight. I'm sure. But stop saying that shit. That's just almost like that time. I forgot which show I was on. I don't know if it might have been E Thriller. I think he was on there too. And Quentin, my boy, he listening. I know, but he kept saying in the Olympics, and I was like, where in the audience did he sit? Quentin didn't catch it at first, but then when y'all caught it, y'all was like, okay, because why brag about something that don't mean nothing? He went to the Olympics. He didn't medal. We don't even know what fights he fought in the Olympics or how far he got up. But you saying he's an Olympian, or he, like that means something. This adds to his credentials
Oh, you
as
talking
this
about
shown
Earl
up dude.
Spence?
Yeah. I was like, I haven't heard people say it since. I said, yeah, what seat he had? I think that's what I said, something like that. What seat did he sit in the audience? Okay. He should be so lucky. Everybody should be so lucky to get to go to the Olympics. When I came back from Spain in '96, I should have stuck with my first mind and took my ass there to the Atlanta Olympics. Maybe I would have no laughing at this, but they had that bomb go off down there, so
Yeah.
maybe I could have been around there. Maybe it's better that I didn't. But if I'd have went to that Olympics, I sure would have met up with the Floyd Mayweather. Because that's why I wanted to go in the first place, to watch the boxing and the karate and shit in the Olympics. That's what
Hmm.
I wanted to do, and track and field, of course. But I didn't go. I opted not to go. I just went on leave and hung with my friends. Going to the Olympics as a excuse, like he got a whole country. Better BF did too. Shit, he still got $2 million.
Yep.
Everybody got a whole country. Like Bo said, we Americans, we got a whole country behind it. It don't equate to asses in the seat and dollars and pay per view. It don't make sense when people say it. I can see if Mexico got 50 million people in this country, I'm sure they got more than that. And 20 million people from Mexico put in on his fights. Then I would say, they can't even say that shit about Canelo. Like Earl can better say about Texas behind him better than Canelo can say about a whole country behind him. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like I think Earl can say that better. So I just excuses. But you know what, boo? We supposed to have free Friday. I'm glad you got in here. Glad you're doing all right, because I haven't seen you lately neither on the other show. I'm like, where Bo at?
Yeah.
Um,
Normally, I listen to the shows and whatnot, but I'll be like in the bed knocked out because I got to get up like early in the morning and stuff like that. So I
I
probably just
feel
lay
you.
down and listen to it. And I might throw like a little comment in a session, but other than that, I just I just gotta get ready for work.
I feel you. I feel you because I've been taking little odd jobs trying to just until something popped in, because like I said, my daughter getting married in 2 years, and I want to start now trying to earn extra, because I want to give her the wedding that she wants, and
Hmm.
so I need to start now. But when you're trying to accomplish shit, do stuff the next day, you have to go to sleep, especially at our age. If you
Yeah,
was the 22-year-old T, shit, I could run on fumes, but I can't do that shit today. Not at all. But extra. Oh, I don't know if you listening or did you want to get in? ATL. I got a bone to pick with you and Destiny. And y'all came up with this free Friday, and I only had the one story. And I normally wouldn't have led with that story, but it's hot right now, so I was like, let me say that. But it was other stories I could have talked about. Um, I did this free Friday thing just because you guys asked, and nobody's really pressed at this
yeah,
time for it or something.
they done backed out.
They done backed out. Ain't nobody up in this one like Harley.
Yeah, yeah.
I ain't mad at them, but it sounded good. But I'm telling y'all now, the type of person I am. No, I'm not doing this no more. I'm not doing this no more. Not this particular thing because, like I said, I was on board. I was willing to give it a chance, but guys ain't here. You know how we are in the military, bro. Shit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk the talk and walk the walk. I was like, all right, they said they want to do it. I'm gonna do it. They didn't. I'm not mad at you guys. You guys are always welcome to come here. But look, I did all this for what? So I'm gonna keep my own mind and stay the same course that I normally do. No how. And if y'all, but as always, anytime anybody want to talk about something else, we can always do story break and talk about whatever is going on. Like y'all heard me talk about that Brittany Grinder thing. Yeah, Bo, what's your thoughts on that? Because I ain't seen you in a minute. The Brittany Grinder
Um.
thing.
So I heard what she was found guilty or something like that.
Yeah, for she got 9 years.
Oh wow. Well, I thought they
Mhm.
were supposed to be doing like a transfer of like like they trade off like a Russian prisoner or something like that for Brittany Griner. I thought that was kind of like in the works, but damn, 9 years, man.
Mhm. And Bo,
You know,
it's a lot of Americans in jail. I don't think they looking at it like this once. It's like isolated. There's so many Americans locked up overseas. It ain't even funny.
yeah, yeah. Um, at the end of the, I mean, I don't like for that to happen to her, but at the end of the day, that's their rule. I wouldn't be bringing those shit to another country anyway. That's
Exactly.
that could be questionable. You know,
You got to
I
think
wouldn't do that.
about that.
Yeah,
Have you ever been overseas, Bo, in the Navy?
yeah, yeah. I've been on seas plenty of times.
So when you go overseas, you remember that they give you that little brief when you go to a new country, right?
Right.
That's what I was telling them the other day. I was like, yo, the group of Americans don't go nowhere without a brief because they know we'll bring that bullshit with us, and they know here where ain't America.
Yeah,
So
that's
they
what I'm saying. Like different rules. Like, sure, I remember I was in Gibraltar one time. We had a dude on my ship had the nerve to beat the hell out of in a club. So drunk, he decided to get in a fight with a damn a cop who wasn't a uniform or nothing. And I had to
local.
fight tooth and nails to get this dude out of jail.
Hmm. They don't always be successful. I remember being in Japan and watching them march in a couple of prisoners. Man, the life was like sucked out of their body. Like the look in their face, man. It's like you want to say they're being tortured, but they not because when Americans are arrested, it's not always a guarantee that this is able to be done. But the nearest base or American outpost or whatever, they have it set up where that country can bring that American in to at least get a complete physical or medical check and to
Yeah.
make sure that that is at least on point. Outside of that, it's a hell of a diet. It's a hell of a weight loss program. I can tell you that. Okay, how
Mhm.
big you are, but shit, within a couple of months, boy, you be thin as a rail. I don't mean to laugh, but shit, people better think about shit when they leave this country,
Yeah,
because
for real.
other other countries don't think the same. But that's why I say, as a human, I feel empathetic to what she about to face. But outside of that, I don't feel sorry because I didn't know whether she had. I thought she was playing for Italian team or one of them overseas teams, and they was just going to Russia. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. So did she travel with a bunch of Americans? Then I found out no, she WNBA, and so they
Yeah,
went as an American group, but nobody else got everybody got the memo but her. And it's like I hate to say it, like I really hate to feel like this, but brought it on herself. I hate to say it. I
yeah,
really do.
and then on top of that, our country ideology doesn't fit what everybody else's. Like what we might think is something petty over there, it could be something serious.
Yes, and they ain't got to show no mercy. And there's always political strife going on, even
Mm,
if you don't pay attention to it. You might not be a person that watch the news or care about nothing. Trust me, there's people with power that care about all that shit. And so sometimes you could be caught up in a situation where you could possibly be used as a pawn in some kind of political strife that's going on between countries. But the point is, who gave who the power to do that?
yeah.
It gave them the power to do that by bringing that shit. I don't know. I mean, I would recommend movies like Midnight Express. You ever see that movie, Bo?
Nah, I haven't.
They got plenty of movies out there though, where you get some dumbass American that think they could beat the system and smuggle some shit in or out. But this guy, he was actually trying to smuggle some hash out of, I don't want to say a Middle Eastern country, but a country close by, like maybe them Pakistan's, or I don't know what country it was, or it was Lebanon or some, I don't know. But they
Hmm.
caught his ass, right? And they tried his ass, and won't shit America could do. He tried to smuggle that shit out. And I think he had been smuggling it out successfully, but he got caught eventually. And then he spent all that time, and he had to do a big break in the end. I mean, it was a bridge too far. The treatment that they give you again, they be thinking when they go to jail that it's gonna be like American prison. They don't have to make the room nice and warm and toasty in the winter or nice and cool for the
Hmm.
summer. They don't even have to have floors. They can put you on bread and water. You will survive. You ain't gonna like it, but you'll survive. And unless you got family that bring you up a nice meal once a week or twice a week and a nice blanket, you ain't got shit. And they don't have to spray for pest control and all this shit. They can have toilets that's a hole dug in the ground and not give you much toilet paper. They don't gotta, they just gotta cover the basics.
Hmm.
You be surprised what you can live through. You might not like it. You can be dirty for over a month and make it. I think they would probably need to be a little bit more hygienic in the females setup, but it ain't gonna be much. It ain't gonna be to no higher standard, but it could get really out of hand if you don't have no hygiene situation going on the female side. So she lucky for that, you know. But shit, they don't gotta do none of that shit. And if they say hard labor, they can be having you out there breaking rocks with a sludge hammer. You ain't gonna like it, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's what I was thinking. I put that picture up on my thumbnail. I was gonna bring up body sculpting because you got a lot of women out here doing these surgeries for God knows what. To each his own, for real, but I am so not understanding the butt jobs that people do. I can't understand. Never would I understand that. But if that's something somebody want, but shit, especially with the new information that's out about that. I would never. I didn't know if people knew, and just in case y'all didn't know. So I saw this on the interview. The lady, the people who put those injections in people's butt, they go in liquid, but they'll turn into some kind of solidified balls, like ball bearings or something, if you want to think of it like that. Just little balls, because your white blood cells and it's gonna do what it's supposed to do, recognize a foreign object in your body, and your histamine and your white blood cells gonna run to try to corral it and fix the problem. But ain't nothing they can do to fix it. So when you realize it's a bad thing and you gotta go try to correct it, you gotta have them digging for gold up in your ass cheeks. And you gotta get all them power pellets up out that motherfucker, and it be thousands. And you're not gonna get them all. Why would you want to do that? I don't know. But I was gonna bring that topic up, and about the girl, the fan only girl who killed the guy. And I guess she was arrested because they said they had a picture of her covered in blood and handcuffs. But somehow or another, she made it to Hawaii. Somebody asked me in the chat, something about her. Like, was she something? Was it racial? I don't know. What did they ask? Did you see that, Bo?
Nah.
Like, somebody was asking. I don't know the answer. I know
Hey,
that she's.
you how long you gonna be on? I gotta run to the store real quick.
Nah, you good. You can
Okay.
final thoughts, because I ain't gonna be on. Damn, I didn't even know we was on 2 hours. But that's it. Yeah, final thoughts, Bo. Thanks
Oh
for
nah, I
coming
mean
through.
it was a great, great discussion and stuff. I know I came on a little bit late and whatnot. Um so I done missed, the early parts of the
You
stuff.
was right on time. You saved the show, because I told you what they asked me to do, and they ain't even here.
Yeah.
My
Yeah,
brother Bo coming through. My
I don't know
shipmate.
what happened to Jerry. Jerry just fell off, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. He in the chat.
Oh, okay.
He came in the chat a little bit. It probably died out. Jerry, you got to charge up your device long before you decide to get on. But you good. Shout out to your daughter, Jerry, for showing you how to do that. Bo, like, yeah, Bo, if you got to go, thanks for coming through, because again, I didn't know what was gonna happen.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Definitely. So you be doing the lives like every night pretty much, right?
Yeah, Monday through Friday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Nowadays, I always say I'm gonna be here unless I'm sick. Sometimes shit happens
Yeah.
and you get caught up. Like, my dog was sick the other day, and I'm telling you, he has knocked me out the ranking of being a true Southern Belle, because I can't invite nobody to my house. As bad as he tore up my carpets, I'm like, good Lord. But we done had him for 15 years, and that's my little man right there. We're
Yeah.
gonna ride it out to the end. But yeah, he's elderly, and oh Lord, I'm running behind him with a pooper scooper and some wood light and shit, and pet cleaner all day long.
Mm,
I will not get another dog, I can tell you that, or a pet.
yeah.
Ain't doing this no more. Other than that, yeah, that's all I have. You can sign out, bud. I'll do my closing thoughts. I mean, Bo. I said, bud. Damn, I'm thinking you, bud. Shit. You can go to the store, Bo. Like, I'm gonna say a couple of words before I get up out of here,
All
and then
right. All right.
I appreciate you coming, though.
All right. Peace out.
Peace out. Yeah, thanks to my boy, Bold, and understanding my shipmate, and Jerry, my boy Jerry, coming through in the clutch. And ATL, I'm gonna pick with you. And Destiny, I'm gonna pick with you too. Guys, set this Friday up, and look what y'all did. No show. That's an unprofessional move. I gotta call you on it. But yeah, I wish I could find the question somebody asked me about this couple. Uh, I don't know what it was. Undisputed PVCC. I'm going back in the chat and looking. I can't remember what was said about this Is somebody Reginald said, is that the same case where her boyfriend said he don't date black women? I don't know. I ain't mean to not answer that, Reginald. But I was like, I'm gonna remember that you asked that question. I honestly don't know. What I found striking about the story was that she must have been arrested on spot, but how did she get away to go all the way to Hawaii? And then she was running a OnlyFans page and she was making her money that way. Hmm. And so, the body sculpting, that was just me like, what are y'all doing? You see Savannah Marshall and Clarissa Shields is closing in. I like the little outfit Clarissa got on, in this picture. I talked about Brittany Griner. Y'all know I hit the Tyson Fury thing up. We did have a little free Friday with Jerry. Thanks for participating, Jerry. Always a pleasure. Um, we was just talking about what changed, what make people change, and is it fair to ask the question why you change? I mean, why you change? Sometimes you gotta ask that why you change. What changed? You know? Did the circumstance change? It didn't. What changed? Why you thinking differently? You know, if nothing changed, this wouldn't even be a big to do question. Like when it comes to the drug situation, if the same group of people who was hooked on crack and that was an epidemic, and that same group of people who was hooked on opioid drugs, if that was the same group of people, and then they changed that way, then I would look at it more like an epiphany. But because the group of people change, and now let's change it. That that looked like suspect to me. And some people can look at a silver lining and say, well, who cares? As long as the change was made. I can see that too. However, I still live in this country where, to me, things like that can happen. I needed to change when I'm complaining. If I see it's wrong and I see it's wrong and you can see it's wrong, then that's the time to change it. Not when it affects somebody you like. It can't be that way. Because then I'm gonna think what I think. I'm gonna take it. I take it how I get it. But I'm gonna think what I think. And I am happy that they look at it this way, for the record. They come to drugs and not like always having the answer, lock them up and throw away the key. They people too. They're not in their right mind because they're at this point debilitated. You know what I'm saying? And for the record, the worst drugs in America, which is pretty much have always been for a long time now, is sugar and nicotine. But Philip Morris had that day in court because they was finding nicotine was as addictive as heroin at one point. But they made cigarettes like that, and then they didn't tell people, so you had a false sense of choice. And sugar is the worst drug probably in America today, more than any other drug. It's probably the worst because everybody is addicted to that shit. So anyway, I did my best to do a free Friday. Probably the first and last one. Thanks, ATL and Destiny. Y'all know y'all gonna get talked about. I still love you, but you're gonna get talked about now. But when you know better, you do what? Do better. Peace.